What's up, everybody? Good morning and happy Wednesday. Making the turn on this Wednesday of ours, July 29th. Thanks for making us a part of your starts. If you are up and at it, whether you are listening on the radio dials of 105.1 FM, 790 AM, streaming us up online at sportstalk1051.com. You've got your Alexa devices. Got the app, download it, take it on the go. Video stream up and rolling here this morning on YouTube as well. What do we have on our game plan for us this morning? We'll have, first of all, happy day one of training camp, peeps. If you're heading on over to Green Bay for training camp, day one of practice officially begins today. So we'll talk a little green and gold as we get sets for the unofficial, official, I guess it depends on how you view it, start to the Packers season, to the NFL season. So we'll chat some football here this morning as we get set for training camp. What are some of maybe the first things or some of the initial things that you're going to be watching, maybe following or paying attention to with day one of training camp set to begin today? What you got? All right. Brewers wisely last night, back to their winning ways, picking up a W, 8-2 victory. Logan Henderson, solid, especially considering, throwing 33 pitches in the first inning, settling down, and end up going just under 6 innings, 5 2/3, 2 hits, did issue a couple walks, but 7 strikes, no earned runs. And the Brewers picking up that W, getting some aggressive at-bats, 13 total hits for the Brewers, majority of them coming from their top 3. Everybody in that lineup from last night getting in the hit column. So Terang with 3, Cheerio with a couple, Contreras with a couple. Everybody else got a hit piece. Lara, including 3 RBIs for the youngster. So a little bit more of an aggressive approach at the plate last night for the Brew Crew. They'll try to pick up a series win this afternoon. First pitch, 2:45. Shane Drone is going to be on the mound for the Brewers, but the Giants will be throwing out Logan Webb. And got some Brewers players here with quite a bit of experience going up against Logan Webb. So we'll break it down, recap late last night's W, and look ahead to the series finale before the Brewers are set to take on the Angels. So baseball talk, including keeping you posted and updated on some of the latest rumors and rumblings surrounding the trade deadline for the Brewers, and I guess Major League Baseball here too, because trade deadline coming up on Monday. So we'll keep you posted on that. But what else do we got on the docket? It is a What If Wednesday. So per usual, you all have done a really good job over the weeks when we've done this What If. Give us some what ifs. What if sports scenarios out there? All right. What if? What if they did this? What if this happened? What if the team did this? And maybe let's do a little, like we mentioned yesterday, kind of a MLB trade deadline version or Brewers version. Or if you're a Twins fan or you're a Cubs fan, I don't care. All right? I don't care. Pick your team and let's have a little what if. MLB trade edition. Or since it is day one of Packers training camp, you could throw a little Packers one in there too. Or for crying out loud, it don't matter. If it's Badgers, I know we had Media Day. Luke Fickell chatted a little bit yesterday. We'll go through some of the comments from him, what stood out, and all that fun jazz. So, but hey, what if? What if? Send us your best ones, okay? It is also a what are we doing here Wednesday? What's the sports narrative or the, story, et cetera, where you'd be like, dude, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? All right, best ones I'll read up on the air. So got that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. 715-830-1912. The Section 105 chat room also up and rolling. So you can hit us up with some messages over there too. But that's kind of your game plan for us this morning, and whatever else you kind of want to hit up. All right, this is your program. So you got a question, you got a topic, got a thought that you want to throw out there for the rest of the listeners to contribute to or to chime into, send it on over. All right. Big shout out. We are now 10 a.m., 1 p.m. for the Kasper Classic. Sold out. We have a record number of teams this year. If you still want to play it, you have to do the 7:30. We're going to keep that open for another day or two, but we got a record number of teams in that 7:30 slot too. So a big thanks to all of you for who have signed up to play in the outing. If you are looking to maybe still help out and contribute, we are looking for more raffle prizes in that, but a big thanks to everybody who has contributed to that already. Let's give a shout out to Window World presenting partners, Muldoon's, Service Master, Park Ridge Distributing, High V, Edward Jones Financial Advisor, Kelsey Nicolai, Dodge, Cambridge, AJM Automotive, Myron Construction, VFW Post 305, Superior Auto Body, Home Oasis, Residence Branding, Claflin Construction, Carpet City Flooring Center, and Economy Furniture. Big thanks to everybody. So, all right, let's get things going here this morning, shall we? We'll get the lead off here. We'll open it up, talking a little baseball, recapping last night's W for the Brewers, looking ahead to Game 3 this afternoon. Logan Henderson looking pretty good yesterday, settled down nicely after a little bit of a longer first inning, but he had a solid outing, quality start for Logan Henderson to pick up his 5th win on the season and improve to 5-1. His season ERA is now at a 2.66. So, and then we'll preview the upcoming game with Shane Drowan and keep you posted on the latest trade buzz that's out there, maybe surrounding the Brew Crew. So let's take a quick break, and we'll get things going here on the leadoff, all right? I want to hear from you, though, so start sending us your thoughts, your messages. We'll be right back after these quick words. The countdown to fall sports is on. From Friday night football to volleyball, soccer, cross country, athletes across the Chippewa Valley are getting ready to compete. But when injuries happen, getting the right care matters. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine specializes in helping athletes getting back into the game with expert orthopedic care, sports medicine, and treatment that you can trust. Whether you are a weekend warrior or a high school athlete chasing your goals, their team is here to keep you moving. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, your partner in staying active, healthy, and ready for the season ahead. Let's open up things this morning on this Making the Turn Wednesday. Chatting a little Brew Crew, little Milwaukee Brewers, shall we? Let's get into this thing. Brew Crew last night, another late one, but picking up the W, an 8-2 victory for the Brewers. Let's start off with Logan Henderson. After giving up 33 pitches, he settled down nicely and ended up nearly completing nearly going 6 innings. Excuse me. He ended up going 5 2/3. Ended up with 93 pitch counts, but just 2 hits, 2 walks, and 7 Ks, no earned runs. Improves to 5-1 on the season and lowering his ERA to a 2.66. I'm going to talk a little bit more about Logan Henderson here in just a skosh. But offense, nice bounce back from the night prior. A little bit more aggressive at the plate. Bryce Terang in that leadoff spot. Brewers switch it up the lineup a little bit. Terang collecting 3 hits and a couple RBIs. Jackson Churio, a couple hits and a couple RBIs. Contreras, then Yelich batting in the cleanup spot. And then Lara picking up 3 RBIs. Every batter, every position player that was in that lineup picking up a hit. At least picking up a hit, getting a nice mark in the box score. So 13 total hits for the Brewers as they picked up their 67th win on the season to improve to 67-40 and 27 games over 500. I want to throw this out there because there is, with the trade deadline coming up here, if we look at Scooble, and I was reading again, MLB.com has a piece, who has the package? The package that would make the Tigers go, okay, yeah, let's move on from Scooble and get this. And they broke it down by teams, and they had the team beat writers kind of give their takes of potential teams interested in Scooble. And Adam McCulvey from the Brewers wrote, very interested. The Brewers are one of those teams that must stockpile prospects, especially position player prospects, in order to contend year after year. But they are open to being more aggressive at this year's deadline and have touched base with the Tigers on Scooble and the Padres on Mason Miller. The tricky part is coming up with a return that meets Detroit's asking price, which almost certainly would include a Major League ready starter. The Brewers have a number of arms in that category: Kyle Harrison, Brandon Sproat, Logan Henderson. But that would mean taking a chunk out of the rotation for this year and beyond in order to land a number one like Scooble for 2 or 3 months. One can certainly make the argument it's worth it, and the Brewers saw what can happen in 2008 when they went all in for CC Sabathia. But there are plenty other examples of risk in that category. So, let's just throw this out there. What would your thoughts be if Logan Henderson was the main return to bring in Scooble? Would you be okay with that? Would you not like that? There probably would be a couple more pieces that the Brewers would have to give up in their minor league system. But if Logan Henderson is the main piece, what would your thoughts be? You look at what he's done this year: 5-1, 2.66 ERA, and 9 games started. You look at last year. Overall, career-wise, he's 8-1 with a 2.34 ERA. Not a lot of starts under his belt. 05 started 5 games and was 3-0 with a 1.78 ERA. Is Logan Henderson untouchable? in your opinion? Is it worth moving on from him if that means you can land Skubal for the next couple of months? It's not a guarantee that you're going to win the World Series. Does it improve your chances? Probably. But, I mean, at the same time, Logan Henderson's pitching at a really high level. Opponent's batting average against him so far this year, 195. So what do you do? Detroit, put yourself in the shoes of Brewers president of baseball operations, Matt Arnold, and says, and let's say Detroit calls you and says, hey, Logan Henderson plus a couple other, let's just say you include Logan Henderson in this deal. We'll make it official. We'll get it done. What's your response? Yay or nay? I'm sure there's other pieces you'd be like, no, not Logan Henderson, but let's throw in Brandon Sproat. But let's say no. Let's say the Tigers say no. And they want Logan Henderson. Do you do it? Or don't you? Hit me up. Kind of an informal poll sort of thing. It's tough. I mean, on one hand, you get Skubal. You get a veteran starter to mix into the starting rotation for a playoff run. This is honestly how I would probably react. I would be excited about Skubal. I would be pumped. Like, okay, the mindset is we are going for this thing. Here we go. Buckle up. Let's do this. All in, baby. Yes. But then on the flip side, it's like, but man, we're not going to have Logan Henderson for the next few years. That's a tough pill to swallow. It's an internal battle. You're happy you get Skubal, but then you're like, honestly, the first kind of example was probably like when the Badgers hired, and I know now it's not a great example, but at that time, it was kind of like when the Badgers hired Luke Fickell. You were like, oh, hey, Luke Fickell, but dang it, not Jimmy Leonard, you know what I mean? So it's tough. And I'm glad I don't have to make the decision. Do you sacrifice the future for maybe the now? But the thing is, too, is like Logan Henderson's still pitching really well. When Kyle Harrison returns, Logan Harrison's the top three in this rotation. I think the biggest question that if you're Matt Arnold, that you have to ask yourself when it comes to potentially acquiring a guy like maybe Skubal or another veteran starting pitcher. The question Matt Arnold has to ask himself is, do I trust this young starting staff when it gets to the postseason? Do I trust them? And I know we're focusing on Tarik Skubal because that's the number one guy, and we don't even know if the Tigers are going to do that. But we got another name being floated out there that was being floated out there yesterday, but maybe picking up a little bit of more steam here. This was from Jeff Passan, MLB insider from ESPN yesterday. Audio courtesy from Jeff Passan.
Yeah, well, Freddie Peralta will be getting out of Queens, and there are so many different places he could go. I know he's been tied to the Chicago Cubs a lot. Don't see that one happening necessarily. I think a lot of things would have to change in order for that to be a matchup. But one thing I did hear this week, Richard, is that the Mets have been talking with the Brewers about Freddie Peralta. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it's the kind of deal where you see what they would get back from Milwaukee, considering what they gave up. Is that a trade that David Stearns politically already just getting flayed every time he's mentioned in New York. Is that something he can pull off? Could he actually deal him back to Milwaukee?
There you go. So, again, another report about potentially Freddie Peralta going back to the Brewers. Again, I think the biggest question that Matt Arnold and this Brewers team has to ask themselves is, when it comes to this starting pitching staff, do they trust what they currently have? They trust Mizorowski. I think that's no question. Mizorowski has already, in his short amount of time of his short career, has shown his ability to play in big moments and to, rise up to those big moments. I don't think they have any concern with that. There's just questions surrounding the other ones. Kyle Harrison, when he's been healthy and he's been out there, he's been great. Logan Harrison has been great. But do you trust them with the ball in there? Do you trust them if they got the ball in their hands for a playoff game? That's what it's going to boil down to. Or do they want a little bit more experience? And if we look at these reports and we look at these rumors, maybe they back-end veteran. Maybe you roll with the four-man rotation of Miz, Logan, Harrison, and then you try to find that veteran for the back end. Shane Drone then goes to the pen, or maybe he's a part of a trade package. Same with Brandon Sproat. Man, that would be a tough pill for me to swallow if it includes Logan Henderson. I don't know if I could do that one. I'll be honest, I don't know if I can do that one. I don't know if Robert Gasser would be attractive for other teams. I know that's another name that we could be throwing in this mix, but you're not really hearing his name mentioned in some of these. That doesn't necessarily mean he hasn't been discussed, but man, I don't know, because I'm already envisioning a future of Mizorowski, Kyle Harrison, and Logan Henderson for the next couple of years, and I don't know if I want to change that. But gosh darn it, seeing Skubal and Mizorowski, oh, come on, baby. Come on. I mean, how do you not get excited for that if you're a Brewers fan, right? It's a tough call. What would you do? If the Tigers said, we'll do this deal if it includes Logan Henderson, what would you do? You don't have a big sample size of Logan Henderson throughout his career. So would you do it? Or would you say, nah? Let's take a quick break. We'll preview Game 3 coming up this afternoon. Shane Drone, another name that's being mentioned as maybe possible trade packages for the Brewers to acquire a immediate impact player, veteran starter, whatever it may be. Maybe a big opportunity for him this afternoon, too. Let's preview that game coming up after these quick words. When you're looking for your next vehicle, choose a dealership that knows and cares about the community it serves. Toyson Ford in Chippewa Falls is proud to be locally owned and operated, providing hometown service and a better buying experience for drivers throughout the Chippewa Valley. Whether you're looking for a new Ford or a quality pre-owned vehicle or trusted service for the vehicle that you already know or already own, the team at Toyson Ford is there to help you out. Experience the difference of shopping local. Toyson Ford in Chippewa Falls, your hometown Ford dealer. We got a few messages here. We've got Mike says, the Brewers have the best prospects in baseball. The way people make it out to be, they could compete as a team at the major league level. At what point do these prospects get frustrated that they are still at the minor league level when they would be playing up for any other team at the top levels? John says the idea about getting Skubal would be to get to 4 quality starters. Trading away one of our best 3 for a 1-year rental would make no sense. C-Bomb says, I go back to the question at the beginning of the season, would you have given up Henderson for Skubal? I would have jumped at that. Henderson shows a ton of potential, but I would gladly take a 2-time Cy Young winner and proven ace come playoff time. But can we still say go back to the beginning of the season because of where things have, things are a little bit different though, right? If we factor in some of the things, Skubal's already had a surgery this year. Granted, he has looked well and played well as of late. Logan Henderson maybe pitching better than what was probably going to be expected at the beginning of the year because he had only had 5 starts under his belt heading into the season. So, at the beginning of the year, you probably are. But, given what we have seen so far from Logan Henderson, where we're talking about he's a top 3 starter in this rotation, it's kind of changed, hasn't it? So I don't know if I can go back and ask that question and have the same answer. Because at the beginning of the year, yes, I probably would have said, heck yeah. But, the way Logan Henderson has been pitching, and, granted, too, Logan Henderson's been on the injured list here for a little bit. He's come back, and he's looked sharp. So, you can make cases for either or. I don't think it's as simple as go back to asking that question at the beginning of the year. It's tough. Really, it's tough. You can make, again, the case for either side. And as much as we don't like to admit it or we don't like to say it as Brewers fans, Brewers they have to operate a little bit differently than maybe some other ball clubs when it comes to the now and the future, if you know what I mean. It's going to be interesting to see what they do in the next few days, if they do anything. All right, so let me throw this out there. Say it's going to be Logan Henderson, another top prospect, and maybe a single A prospect. It could be a bigger package. I don't know, but I'm trying to make it as easy as possible. Say it's going to be Logan Henderson, another top position player prospect, and a single A prospect to get Skubal. Or let's say it's somebody that's ranked 15th or lower in your prospect system for Freddie Peralta for a back end. But you get to keep Logan Henderson, Shane Drone, and Brandon Sproat. Then, which one is more appealing to you? Which one you got? Think about that one for a little bit. What if? That's kind of a what if scenario. What if those were the 2 trade packages that were on the table? A prospect around, let's say, ranked 17th, 18th, 19th in the Brewers farm system for Freddie Peralta straight up. Or Logan Henderson plus a top 15 prospect and then another lower end prospect for Skubal. You have those two offers on the table. What if those were the two offers on the table? Which one are you going for? Maybe you're not going for either one. I don't know. Whatever it is, make your pick. Game 3 tonight. Shane Drowan is on the mound. Logan Webb going for the Giants. Logan Webb, who is 5-7 with a 3.98 ERA this season. But he's coming off of back-to-back performances with no decision. His latest one was against the Angels, 6 innings, 4 earned runs. The start before that, Seattle, 6 2/3, 3 earned runs. And then Toronto, 7 innings, 5 earned runs in a loss. He did pitch against Milwaukee back on the 3rd. It was a win where he went 7 innings and gave up just 1 hit, 1 walk. So he was dominant in that June 3rd matchup against the Brewers. On the flip side, we've got, again, Shane Drowan on the mound here, who has been a nice surprise. We've talked about it at length with Shane Drowan's season so far. And it'll be interesting to see if he's been potentially mentioned as part of trade packages and all that fun stuff. He did go up against the Giants on the 1st. No decision, 4 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, including a home run. Did strike out 5 in that contest. So, obviously, the Brewers hitters, a lot of these Brewers hitters have a little bit more experience going up against Logan Webb when you kind of break it down here. Yelich in 16 career at-bats, just 125 batting average and just a 347 OPS. Yay. On the flip side, Terang, who picked up 3 hits last night in 12 career at-bats, is hitting 417 with a 1.000 OPS against him. Vaughn, 10 career at-bats, just 100 and a 291 OPS. Contreras, 10 career at-bats, 100, 350 OPS. Jackson Churio, 6 career at-bats, does have a home run, but 167, 834 OPS. So Terang easily has the best numbers going up against Logan Webb, which, again, kind of interesting to see Yelich's numbers against him. Yelich being a left-hander and Logan Webb being that right-handed pitcher, to see those numbers really struggling against Logan Webb. But we'll see how it kind of plays out. And then, obviously with Shane Drowan having a previous start, I guess the Giants earlier in the year, you got some guys with a couple of ABs out there, but not really a whole lot to write home about there. So 2:45, first pitch. Coverage will begin 35 minutes prior on your radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. And, see if the Brewers can pick up that win, pick up a series win, and then travel on over to take on the Angels as they continue their West Coast trip. Brewers will have the off day tomorrow before beginning that 3-game series against the Angels. So, all right, we got to take a quick break as we start to wrap up the first hour. Coming up in the next hour, we'll talk a little football as we get set for a training camp practice numero 1 for the Green Bay Packers. What are going to be some of the initial things that you're going to be following from reporters, writers, when it comes to the first day camp or maybe the first couple of days of camp, player-wise, what have you? All right, what's the first initial thing that you really would pay attention to? Maybe put yourself in the shoes that you're going to go cover practice. You're a writer. You're a media member. What's going to draw your attention first? Hit me up. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back after these quick words. Nobody plans for an accident, but when the unexpected happens, you want a team that you can trust. At Superior Auto Body in Eau Claire, they're proud to be locally owned and operated, providing quality collision repair and hometown service to drivers throughout the Chippewa Valley. Their experienced team takes pride in every repair, treating your vehicle with the same care and attention they would give their own. When you need collision repair that you can count on, choose the people who live and work right here in your community. Superior Auto Body in Eau Claire, locally owned, locally trusted, and here to get you back on the road. We got about 10 minutes left to the top of the hour. Surveyor Sam coming in with a quick text saying, good morning, DK. If I was covering the Packers from day one, I would be watching the corners. Who is taking first-team reps? Who is taking the impact, or who's making the impact plays during practice, and who is impressing not only my eyes, but all the other reporters as well. And then I'm watching Jagger in the O-line. Who looks better and what line looks better with the rookie Jagger or my dude Sean Ryan? Yeah, good ones there. Keep those coming. Appreciate the text there, Surveyor Sam. It is also a What Are We Doing Here Wednesday. So give us your sports. What's the sports story? What's the sports narrative, take, however you want to describe it, where you'd be like, man, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Also, it is a What If Wednesday. Bo on the video stream asked, what if the Packers would have signed Randy Moss for Brett Favre instead of the Patriots? I'm assuming you mean trade for him. Now, remember, part of that rumor report was potentially Aaron Rodgers for Randy Moss. I mean, it's hard not to. I mean, you think about that 2007 season. Packers went to the NFC Championship game. Patriots were undefeated that year. Patriots lost in the Super Bowl to the Giants. Would Randy Moss have made the difference that year? I don't know. I don't know if that would have been enough to take it over the top. Because you had Jennings, you had Driver, you had James Jones. Maybe Favre plays for a couple more years in Green Bay. But you have that trickle-down effect. Let's say if it was Rodgers a part of that deal, they're probably not Super Bowl 45 champs. Honestly, I think if you ask Green Bay, I know Ted Thompson's a GM and he's no longer here, but I think he'd probably say, glad they didn't make that move. Keep those coming, though. What if? What other what ifs do you have out there? Okay, so we'll get to some more football talk coming up in the next hour. But it looks like I won't go through all the text here, but it looks like the majority of you, maybe a slight majority, maybe about 70-30, are saying no to keeping or to trading Logan Henderson as part of a package for Skubal. I'd say about 70-30 if I'm looking, just kind of going through some of the texting here, that you would say you'd rather keep Logan Henderson instead of acquiring a package, or instead of including him in a package that would acquire Tarek Skubal. It's tough. It's definitely tough. I honestly would be in if it were to happen, if, one morning we're talking about Logan Henderson gone and Tarek Skubal's here, I'd be pumped. I'd be excited, but at the same time, be like, oh, darn, but it's Logan Henderson, man. I wouldn't be claiming that that's a bad deal. It's a horrible trade. What is Matt Arnold doing? I'd be like, okay, let's go. I just really hope it works. I don't think the Brewers are going to include him, though. If I were a betting person, I don't think they're going to include Logan Henderson in a deal. It's about 50-50 too. When I gave you the scenario of if it's like let's say 18th ranked prospect for Freddie Peralta straight up, or Logan Henderson, and let's say a top 15 prospect and another single A lower end prospect for Skubal. It's about, actually, no, it's not 50. It's about 60-40 if you had to pick between those two. 60-40, they would go with the Peralta one, according to a lot of you who are texting in right now. Keep your picks coming. Okay, keep your picks coming. A little bit later on, too, I do want to go through Luke Fickell's comments to the media yesterday, Big Ten Media Day. So we'll talk a little Badgers now that we got to hear from head ball coach himself, Luke Fickell. Obviously, he's been in the news here the last couple of weeks, especially with that Athletic article. So we'll get what he had to say about that and kind of the outlook to this Badger football team for this year. So we'll throw a little Badger football chat in here on this Wednesday morning, too. So, again, Brewers 2:45. Shane Drone on the mound for the Crew this afternoon, excuse me. Try to win another series to keep pace for their division lead over the Cubs. Cubs picked up a 10-2 win against the Cardinals last night. When you look at where things are at in the NL Central, Brewers still holding on to a 6-game lead over the Cubbies. Pirates, they're in third right now, 55-53. The Cardinals now below 500, 53-54 on the season, and then you've got the Reds at the bottom. So got a couple minutes left to the top of the hour. We got Morgan's. How the heck do you not know what flats and paddles were?
Okay, how did word get back here? Oh, he did not.
He had to grind his gears saying that you didn't know what flats and paddles were.
I've never heard of that before. It sounds like something you need to do when you're using defibrillators. It's a chicken thing.
Well, if you have a lot of them, you'd probably have to use a defibrillator.
Right,
yeah.
one leak's cause and effect. I've never heard that. This is something you grew up with? Are you kidding me?
You've never heard that phrase before?
Never.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
I know. Failure. One thing after the other. I'm a constant, complete...
It's deep dish over thin crust one week, and now you don't even know what flats and
I know.
paddles are.
I'm telling you, it's like a parade of disappointment. It just keeps coming. I'll throw you out Tootsie Rolls in the middle.
Oh.
This, I'm telling you
Tootsie
right
Rolls.
now.
Yuck.
This is common knowledge. This is common knowledge for people. Flats and paddles for chicken wings.
Flats or dummies. You know, yeah.
Okay. See, dummies I've heard. I've even heard drummies.
Yeah. But you haven't heard flats?
Never.
Do you know what they are now?
I mean, it was explained to me.
All right.
So
which one would you prefer?
flats.
Okay.
How about you?
See, flats have more meat.
Mm-hmm.
Paddles/dummies, easier for dipping if you want ranch.
Well, and they're the real deal.
And a little bit easier to handle, maybe a little less messy.
Yeah, but I say blue cheese over ranch.
No. Depends on the blue cheese. I don't know if I'm going into an unknown situation and how the blue cheese is. I got to go with the ranch.
Okay, I'm not going to... Yeah, if the blue cheese looks suspicious or has something growing on it...
That one's more of a wild card.
Yeah.
That one's a little bit more of a wild card.
Speaking of wild cards, it is Wednesday, which means we get to draw from the deck and you get to answer a rando question for us. Let's go roulette today. Pick a number between 1 and 32, my friend.
We'll go 32.
What is a quality that you admire in other people but don't have yourself?
Patience.
So true.
Yeah.
Spontaneity. I don't like spontaneity. Like, I'm
What
not
the
a
heck is
surprise.
that?
I don't enjoy being surprised.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if somebody just showed up and said, we're going somewhere on a plane, I'm not going to tell you where, I'd be like, It's like sketchy blue cheese. I don't dip into that bag.
Yep.
I don't like that. Okay, what's a memory that you would go back to and revisit but not change anything about? Just live in it a little bit longer.
And not change anything about
just
it?
a memory. It doesn't even have to be a biggie. Like, let's take the biggies, like wedding, kids being born. The biggies are off the table.
Okay.
This is just maybe like an innocuous, everyday, don't know, there's nothing really that special about it, but it means a lot to you memory that you want to go back and revisit without changing anything about it.
The feeling I had when Green Bay won Super Bowl 45.
I see you got the Packers gear on today. I figured since they were back in
Training
action today,
camp,
you'd be
so.
representing.
Yep. So,
Yeah. Speaking of, what do you think about Rodgers' hard no on next season? He says this is it, one and done. Yeah.
I believe it.
You believe it this time?
Yep.
Because his wife told him?
Yeah.
Final word.
All right. Thanks, Marks.
Anytime.
1 in, 3 more to go. We'll be right back after these news updates. Second hour, kick it off right now on this Wednesday morning. We are making the turn here on this July 29th as we start to wrap up the month of July. Holy moly, flying on through here. First hour, we spent time talking all Brewers as we inch a little bit closer and closer to the trade deadline, which is coming up on Monday. How about this? Where's your trade-o-meter at? Do you think the Brewers will make, and I'm going to phrase it this way, a big move, impact move? I'm not talking about maybe just like a unless it's Mason Miller. I mean, that's an impact move. But I'm not talking just about, okay, a bullpen arm, probably a guy you may not have heard of. I'm talking about a major move. Scale of 1 to 10, where's your trade-o-meter at for the Brewers? Are you buying into all the reports and the rumors out there that they're going to be aggressive and that they're going to be buyers? Or do you think it's all pooey? That it's like, no. That's just not going to happen. Where are you at? 1 through 10. 10 being like guaranteed. 1 being like, yeah, good joke. Ain't happening. How you feeling on this Wednesday before the Monday trade deadline? We've got game 3 of this series, 245. Brewers looking to win another series. They got to go up against Logan Webb, who was really good against them earlier in the season. We'll see if the Bats can do what they did last night and give Shane Drowan some run support and put up some crooked numbers and help lead the crew to another series victory before an off day tomorrow. And then they've got a series against the Angels coming up this weekend. Packers practice numero 1, 10:30 today. Bikes will be flooding the streets outside of Lambeau Field, heading to practice at Ray Nitschke Fields, Don Hudson Center. Packers putting some more players, though, on the PUP list. Gosh darn it. So, I mean, we knew Micah Parsons was going to be, but now they're a long snapper. Matt Orzik is, Brant Banks is, Jordan Riley is, Nazir Stackhouse is. I get it. These guys could be cleared pretty quick and return to practice, but great googly moogly. What do we got, like 10 guys now on the PUP list for Green Bay? What are we doing here? There you go. That's a Wednesday. What are we doing here? What the heck? For crying out loud. Hopefully it's nothing serious with a lot of these guys, but geez Louise. Maybe a little bit of a kicking competition here for the Pac-2. Lenny Krieg is coming over for the Packers. Haversick was released. So we'll I don't think there's really much of a kicking competition, just maybe trying to add a little bit better depth, perhaps, in their opinion at least. So, but that's definitely going to be, honestly, to go to the question that I was throwing out there, I think the first thing that I might be watching, it might not necessarily be the first thing they do at practice, but my attention is going to be drawn to Trace Mack and the kicking. Considering all of these maybe guys that are on the PUP list and what have you, and since it's just day one, and I don't want to overreact to day one, but I'll tell you right now, we might have a little fun with this tomorrow on Overreaction Thursday because it's a training camp practice and it's day one, so people are already going to be freaking out. But that's honestly probably one of the very first things I'd be looking at whenever they do, and they usually kind of do some kicking stuff towards the end of practice, but I'd be like, okay, got to see Trace Mack. Got to see him. How's the kicking looking? What's the kicking game looking like? Marshawn Lloyd. I mean, we've talked a lot about this. Marshawn Lloyd. And we haven't heard anything else about Josh Jacobs. So I know I asked you if you were covering Packers practice, what would you be looking for? How about, all right, because I believe Goody and LaFleur are going to be chatting with the media. So what would you ask? You got one question. before practice number 1? What would be the question that you would ask to LaFleur? What would the question be that you would ask to Goody? One of them, I think, I don't know who I would throw it to, but I think one of them would be like, what is the situation surrounding Josh Jacobs? Do you have any more clarity? Because what if he's not on the field? From all accounts, I believe he's going to be. And I'd be curious to see if he's going to be talking to the media at any point soon. But I got to imagine that that's still going to be something that's going to be thrown out there. Otherwise, I would ask, if it's Goody, boy, I'd probably ask something about the corners. What if, is that still an option maybe to bring in another corner, whether it's like a Trayvon Diggs, if you don't like what you're seeing so far? Is it another corner? If you feel like you have to make a move after training camp is like over with, are you comfortable with the fact that you might have to make a trade at the end of camp for a different position group? If a position group doesn't kind of play out the way that you're hoping, or maybe there's an injury. Granted, you don't have a first-round pick next year, but from all accounts, 2027 draft is going to be a deep one. Would you be comfortable trading one of those picks for a player? And I think, for LaFleur, the biggest thing for me would have to be probably maybe. I was going to say something with the offensive line, but I already know what the answer that he would throw out there, and it would just be typically the 5 best will play. I'd have to think about that one for a little bit. What about you guys and gals? What would you throw out there? And you get one question to ask Goody and Brian Gutekunst. What would that question be? Send it on over. 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, or you can hang out in the Section 105 chat on the YouTube page. Nick says, I'm going to say 7. I think they truly believe, this is about the Brewers question, I think they truly believe they have a special team, and getting that one extra guy could put them over the edge in those must-needed situations. If you're saying an impact player, then I'm going to give you a 3, says Surveyor Sam. If they just make a trade, I'm giving you 8. Yeah, just impact player. And since we're days away now, do you feel like the need has shifted, or the priority has shifted for the Brewers, where it's a starting pitcher over a bat? Because that's where it feels like we're here. Now, I know there was the Abrams report that the Brewers checked in on him, but it's been, all we've been hearing so far has been Peralta, Skubal, and Mason Miller. Is that the priority? C-Bomb says, if I had one question for Matt LaFleur would be, are you going to take the handcuffs off Jordan Love and let him do his thing? Okay, C-Bomb, now you're going to get Surveyor all riled up. Now you're going to get Surveyor all riled up again. Like you did yesterday when we brought this up. Oh boy. I'm waiting for the Surveyor text back about that with Jordan Love. Here we go. I think maybe I would phrase it differently to LaFleur and say, yeah, see, Surveyor says, how dare you, C-Bomb. I think if I would almost rephrase it differently and say, is Jordan Love at the point, or do you feel comfortable putting more on his shoulders? Are you confident in him? He's going to say yes. I'm trying to think of a better way that I would phrase this so I don't get a typical coach's answer. I guess maybe something about, okay, you got Watson locked up. Tucker Kraft is coming back. You got Jaden Reed locked up. Is there going to be something, maybe more of a priority in the passing game? And honestly, LaFleur is probably still going to say that they're a run-first team and they got to establish the run. But I'm trying to figure out a creative way to ask the question, are you going to throw the ball a little bit more? Are you going to rely on Jordan Love's arm maybe a little bit more? Do you need to set up the pass to set up the run? Or do you need to establish the pass to set up the run? What else would you throw out there and ask? Okay, it's a what if. What if you were a covering practice say, and you get one question to Goody and one question to LaFleur? What you throwing out there to ask him? We got some more picks. I'm asking for a gauge of 1 to 10 for an impact player with the trade deadline coming up on Monday. 1 through 10, your confidence level for the Brewers to make a big-time trade. Looks like a lot of you are hovering around 6 to 7. 6 to 7. That's kind of where the average is at this point in time. All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll have some more football talk coming up here soon. So keep those thoughts coming. Continue to send me your what ifs and your what are we doing here. All right, we'll get back to those here in a little bit. I do want to talk some Badgers coming up here a little bit later on. Get to some of Luke Fickell's comments from yesterday at Big Ten Media Days. I've been seeing some people now out there in the media land saying, hey, could the Badgers maybe be a little bit of a dark horse team? Are they starting to drink the Kool-Aid when maybe they shouldn't be? I mean, the bar is pretty low for this Badger football team, so maybe, I don't know, maybe something of an over-exaggeration. I don't know. I guess I'm kind of like I got to wait to see it sort of mindset, but I don't know. We'll go through some of Luke Fickell's comments coming up a little bit later on here. So, all right, quick break. We'll be back in just a few minutes. When your vehicle needs attention, make it easy on yourself. Just trust the team at AJM Automotive Services in Eau Claire. With 2 convenient locations, AJM Automotive makes taking care of your car, truck, or SUV simple. Need service? Hey, scheduling an appointment is quick and easy. All you have to do is visit ajmautomotiveservices.com and book online when it works for you. And if the unexpected happens and you're stuck on the side of the road, AJM's towing services are there to help get you and your vehicle where you need to go. From routine maintenance and to unexpected repairs, AJM Automotive is your local partner for honest, dependable auto care. 2 Eau Claire locations, easy online scheduling, trusted service when you need it the most. That's AJM Automotive. Big thanks to AJM Automotive. They are a partner of the Kasper Classic. And also big thanks for partnering with us in VFW Post 305 to give a veteran free oil change for a year. So big thanks to John and his crew at AJM Automotive. And congrats, because I saw them winning a couple of awards that they posted up on Facebook the other day too. So congrats to AJM Automotive for winning a couple awards for towing and for auto service repair. So, all right, no big surprise if you've taken your vehicle to AGM Automotive to see that they were able to pick up a couple of those awards. So, we've got day 1 of training camp for the Packers. Practice begins at 10:30 this morning. We'll hear from LaFleur and Goody. I know a few of you have texted in with some of your questions. We'll get back to those here in just a skosh. But with day 1 of training camp practice here, Joe, what would be the first thing that you're going to be following and paying attention to?
It's health. It's health, and when you look at when guys are just getting in, obviously the PUP list has been published, and you've got Tucker Kraft recovering from his injury, Luke Musgrave dealing with an injury, Aaron Banks, Devon Hargrave, Nazir Stackhouse. So you've got a lot of guys that have quote-unquote undisclosed injuries that didn't pass their physical. So it's looking at when these guys are going to start coming back. Again, Tucker Kraft, Micah Parsons, we know he's going to miss the beginning of the season. And so, but these other guys, as they get healthy and as they're able to pass their physical, that's what I want to see. And I think the biggest thing for me is also in preseason games a sense of urgency. So as we get into the games, because we all know the Packers did not finish last year, and I think a lot of that comes down to a sense of urgency. So I'm looking at the health of this football team, and I'm looking at, is there a sense of urgency? Can you detect that this team is putting an emphasis from day 1 on finishing and closing out?
If you could ask Goody one question today, what would it be?
Who is that running back on your wish list right now that you're working on possibly obtaining? I still think Green Bay needs to go out and get someone. And again, I think Green Bay's in that limbo situation right now where they don't know probably what's going to happen as far as with Josh Jacobs goes. And so they're in a little bit of a limbo situation, so you don't want to mortgage the farm on going out and getting a running back, but you need a running back. And I don't see this dragging on until the beginning of the regular season. I see Green Bay having to address that sooner than later. So my question to Goody would be, who's the running back that you're going to go out and get? Who do you have your eye on right now? Because, again, regardless of anything else, there's going to be a suspension with Josh Jacobs. There absolutely will be. So, and again, you and I talked ad nauseum about how horrible this situation is. And Green Bay, a team with Super Bowl aspirations, can't go into this season with such an important position to this offense like running back being a huge question mark.
So even if he's cleared, you still think he's going to be suspended?
First of all, I don't think he's going to be cleared completely. I think you're going to see lesser charges. I don't think this thing gets dropped completely, especially when you heard reports that neighbors heard the arguments and that type of thing. So I say this out of the fact that I don't think he gets 100% cleared. I think what happens truly is the charges get lessened, and so I still see him having issues up to 3 games, depending on the severity of what they settle on. But I still see this being kind of that cloud that's hanging over Green Bay. And again, if he is completely cleared, then yeah, I don't think he gets suspended. I just don't see that happening.
Luke Musgrave was also put on the PUP list, with Tucker Kraft being on the PUP list. How important, and Luke Musgrave could be cleared any day now and that, but I mean, how questionable is that tight end depth now with Tucker Kraft probably going to be starting week 1, but after Tucker Kraft and now Luke Musgrave, because I think he was entering a big year. But when you look at that group, how concerning is it when it comes to the depth of that position?
Oh, it's very concerning. When you look at, you've got Josh Wiley, and then the rest of the names, I mean, they did sign Luke Lachey. They've got R.J. Maryland, who is an undrafted free agent. They've got Drake Dabney. I mean, they've got guys out there. They've got a list of guys. But when you look at, again, going back to the intricacies of this offense and the importance of a certain position to this offense, from day one, LaFleur has talked about having the ability to go 12 personnel. And when they drafted both Musgrave and Kraft, you're seeing this, okay, these are the guys you build that 12 personnel around. So, yeah, it is concerning. And again, when Luke Musgrave, I'm sure he'll be back soon. That's, again, one of those undisclosed injuries. I'm sure he'll be back soon, but still, you've got Tucker Kraft coming back from the ACL. And then Musgrave has not been able to truly stay healthy every season. And so to get done what Green Bay needs to get done, having 2 capable tight ends, actually one really good tight end, one blue chip player tight end, and then another good tight end or capable tight end, it's critical to this offense. So that's another position that if maybe Tucker Kraft's recovery is delayed a little bit, or maybe Musgrave's injury lingers, that could be one of those where Green Bay starts looking at the cut lines and the who is available. So that might be a position where Goody says, yeah, we got to fortify that position as well.
Would you inquire on Vita Vea?
Absolutely. Why not? At that point, when you hear a guy like Vita Vea, and you hear that there's an impasse when it comes to contract conversations, I think you owe it to yourself and your football team to have that conversation. Now, again, people tease and kid about Goody. Well, the Packers were in on the conversation, but yeah, you owe it to yourself as a general manager. You owe it to yourself as a pro personnel department. You owe it to yourself from a football team perspective to at least inquire. Is this serious? Are you really not going to sign him? Is he really in an impasse? If it is serious, what kind of compensation would you be looking for initially? So yeah, I think you inquire about it, and again, who knows? I'm not as a lot of Packer fans feel that Goody doesn't make moves or the Packers don't make moves, and I think if this were Ted Thompson, I would 100% agree with that take. But I think Brian Gutekunst has shown that he's willing to take moves to improve this football team, and so if he's available and available for the right price, absolutely. Not only have those cursory conversations, but go deeper and actually have conversations to make that move.
Do you think Matt LaFleur still has some handcuffs on Jordan Love? Or, I mean, because Dan Orlovsky talked about a little bit yesterday about, Packers were 3rd best in EPA, or 4th best or whatever it was, but then they had one of the fewest dropbacks last year in the NFL. Is it time to let Jordan Love cook? Do you think he still has handcuffs on him? What's your take on that?
I think Matt LaFleur is a little bit – I think his seat's a little warmer, okay? I don't think he's in danger of being fired. Obviously, the extension came in, and I think Matt LaFleur is, to quote Mike McCarthy, a good football coach. And so I think Matt LaFleur is in a good position. That being said, this team knows that they're close. I think this team knows that they've got to finish. I think this team knows that they've got to close out teams. And so I think Matt LaFleur is going to do whatever Matt LaFleur needs to do to get this team to get the mentality or get to the position of game. And I'm going to use the term where you put your foot on the opponent's throat. And I think if that means that Jordan Love, you're more aggressive with him, you're taking more shots, or maybe late in the game you are going play action than trying to run out the clock, whereas you can put your foot on the throat rather than hope for the win. I think Matt LaFleur is going to do whatever Matt LaFleur needs to. And if that is letting him cook a little bit more, quote unquote, I think he will do that. I do think this franchise, from Gutekunst on down, is feeling a sense of urgency. And again, whether that translates to, quote unquote, letting Jordan Love cook, I don't know. But if I were LaFleur and looking at it from a statistical measure and looking at it from guys who know the game like Dan Orlovsky and what they say about Jordan Love, then I'm saying we've got to get this thing going. And if the offense is clicking, and I go back to the Pittsburgh game last year because to me that seemed like an absolute blueprint for this offense. And obviously a lot of it went through Tucker Kraft that game. But Jordan Love was so good in that game, so good. And if you can replicate that, and if you can replicate that late in games so that you're putting teams away and you don't have to hope for a stop or hope for something to happen so we can either hold the lead or get the lead back, then I say you do it. So I think Jordan Love's going to have a good season. And I think, again, going back to you and I have talked every offseason since Jordan Love was the starter, what does he need to improve upon? And, completion percentage was a big thing for me. Touchdown to interception ratio is a big thing for me. And so he had his best year last year in completion percentage, and his touchdown to interception ratio was great. Now it's time to, all right, let's go from 20-something touchdown passes to let's go to where he's now that 30 to 35 touchdown guy. And I think if Green Bay does that, and if Matt LaFleur does that, this team will be very successful and set themselves up for a long run in the playoffs.
Give me a prediction. What week do you think Burton is starting on the offensive line?
I'm going to say week 4.
Who is he taking over?
I've said it before. I think he takes over for Belton. I think Green Bay likes Belton, and I do too. When you look at some of the tape last year, the guy has, first of all, he's big. He is a big guy. The guy can move for his size. But if Burton's going to be a starter, I think he is a starter at that right guard. Anthony Belton then jumps out and becomes that swing tackle to give Green Bay a little bit more depth at those positions. Because when you look at the tackle position, and when you look at the depth chart, and you look at Brant Banks as your backup left tackle, it's concerning. And so at that point, this gives you the capabilities of having a tackle capable of plug and play. And so, and again, I like Anthony Belton. I really do. But everything that this organization has said about Burton from day one that he was drafted, it really is setting up an opportunity for him to start on this offensive line. And if he does, it's going to be that right guard position.
Give me the to wrap it up here. Give me your kind of one player that you're curious to watch in this training camp season, whether he's a late draft pick and an undrafted guy, or just maybe a newcomer that, you know what, I'm kind of curious. I'm excited to see what he can do and maybe make a name for himself in training camp.
I am really high on Denis Dennis-Sutton. I just really am. And I want to see him. I want to see him especially when pads go on, because he's one of those guys that looks the part in shorts. And so he's a guy that I think can be a contributor. I think he can be a contributor right away. And obviously, we know this, Micah Parsons not going to be playing early on in the year. And then you've got Brenton Cox Jr., you've got Barron Sorrell, you've got Colin Oliver, you've got some guys out there. But if he shows something, especially when the pads go on, that is going to do wonders for this team, especially early on in the year. If you can bring him in, spot play him, and you don't lose a lot. So that's the guy that I'm going to be looking at and saying, and again, especially when the pads go on, can he handle the physical part? He is a freakish athlete. Can he handle the physical part of the game when the pads go on? So, that's the guy that I've kind of got circled. Loved him from the draft. Loved him from looking at the draft going into it. And so he's a guy that I'd like to see step up, especially when the pads come on.
Joe, good stuff as always. Appreciate you joining us here this morning. Happy day one of training camp. And next time we chat with you, we'll have some overreactions after the first week of practice and such. So
that's the fun part, Dad. That is the fun part.
Exactly. So, all right, we'll chat with you again soon, okay?
All right, brother. Take care, man.
You got it. There you go. There's Joe DeGuano joining us here this morning. We got to take a quick break, but we'll be back after these few words. When it comes to feeding your family, quality matters. And for great tasting meats, you don't have to look any further than Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire. From fresh cuts of beef and pork to delicious brats, steaks, and all of your favorites for the grill, Mike's Star Market brings you the quality and service that you expect from a true local butcher shop. Whether you're firing up the grill, planning a family meal, or stocking up the freezer, stop by Mike's Star Market and experience the difference of shopping local. Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire. Quality meets hometown service in a tradition that you can taste. We got a few texts that I want to get to here. Before I play a little bit of a clip from head ball coach for the Badger football team, Luke Fickell, at Big Ten Media Days yesterday, making the rounds and all that. But G-Man, the Hall of Famer, chiming in saying, Brewers going to win today 6-2. Scrubs will lose tonight against the Cardinals. We've got Mark saying, I'd say the Brewers' appetite is fairly high at a 7, but the likelihood of it happening is at a 2. It seems the sellers will be very few, and it takes 2 to tango. You're exactly right, man. It takes 2 to tango. We've got John saying, good morning, Dan. My question to you is this. Is there a certain position group that you are looking at very closely in training camp for the Packers this year? One of the position groups that I'm looking at, special teams, and whether they improved from last year, and whether Trey Smack is the future kicker for the Packers. That's a great one. I'm definitely looking at kickers. I mean, I'm looking at corners. You know, how does Brandon Cisse? He was a second-round pick, but, you know, can he potentially begin the season as a starter over a Carrington Valentine? I'm concerned about the corner group. The defensive line group, I think we kind of have our base, but depth there's a question mark. And then who's going to be the edge rusher outside of Lucas Van Ness that is going to get the first crack as a starter until Micah Parsons comes back? I'm looking at that edge rushing group. So, I mean, there's a lot of different position groups. And I'll actually be heading to camp in a couple weeks. More deets on that, some fun stuff. But those right now, we'll see how the first few practices go, and then I might have a different thought on that when we get when I get over there here soon. So we'll see. But keep those coming. We got a few more picks for on a scale of 1 to 10. On a scale of 1 to 10. Where would you put your confidence level that the Brewers are going to make a, quote, major trade? A lot of you hovering around that 6-7 mark. So give me your take. 10 being, done deal, dude. It's happening. No question about it. It's happening. All right, let's switch gears here for just a bit. Luke Fickell was Big Ten Media Days yesterday. He chatted, had a presser, made the rounds with some media members. I want to play this clip. I want to play this clip and get your take on it. So audio courtesy from Big Ten Network.
Probably have not recognized this. Over the last 9 months, there's been a hell of a lot of changes. And to the naked eye and to the fan, I don't know that you could see them all. But to the people from within the program, meaning the players, the coaches, the people that are really close to this team, have seen and felt a difference throughout this entire program. And I'm standing here today in a lot different place than I was in the last 3 years. And I really do mean that. Now, I don't have all the answers, and I'm not saying that we're someplace far off from where we have been, but what we are much different in is our leadership. And about 9 months ago, midway through a season, there were some things that started to happen, and we could have gone one direction or the other, and we were in a really tough situation. But there was some youth within our program that really started to grow and took over in a way that was really, really healthy for us. And we had a group of veteran leaders that kind of understood what was happening and saw it and embraced that as well. And it's really, over the last 9 months, put us in a position that is far, far different than we ever have been since I've been here.
All right, so that was just a little bit of part of his press conference, but really talked about over the last 9 months, there's been a hell of a lot of changes. And It was great. I mean, it gets you riled up if you're probably a Badger fan. Maybe it gets you a little bit pumped up and like, okay, this season may be better than what we're thinking or what we were going to be expecting. I guess I'm of the level of prove me wrong. I hope that's the case. I hope that the Badgers are going to surprise a lot of people this year. The schedule, you would think, sets up for them. It's a little bit of an easier schedule. Bare minimum's got to be 7 wins, bowl at least, or at least bowl eligible. And I think Luke Fickell knows that the seat is hot for him for this year. I mean, there's a $25 million roster. There's all these other different changes. New athletic director. But I saw a lot of media members too kind of, pointing to those comments from Luke Fickell and just saying, dude seems more confident than maybe he has been in the last few years. So, I know we talked a little bit about it yesterday with RJ Cardinal, but if you haven't had a chance to read that athletic piece, I mean, it's behind a paywall and you have to pay for it, but there's some things in here that really stand out, and it doesn't paint the greatest picture of Chris McIntosh. And I'll revisit that quote where, in The Athletic, Chris McIntosh apparently asked Luke Fickell. This is straight from Luke Fickell. He said, quote, he asked me, what do you want to do? Fickell said in an interview with The Athletic, you're at a crossroads. Where are we headed here? Either you're all in or find an escape route. There were no specifics on how a departure might have been handled, whether Fickell would be fired immediately, finish the season, or reach a settlement on his roughly $25 million buyout. McIntosh wanted an answer first. He gave the coach the night to think about it. Fickell said, there's nothing I would rather do than pull ourselves out of where we are, he told him the next day. And I'll say this, I got to respect Luke Fickell for saying, I want to pull ourselves out of this thing. I want to be here. I want to be the guy that gets us out of this jam, gets us out of this funk, gets us out of this hole. I respect that. I respect the competitiveness from him. Now, let's see it on the field. Let's get some wins. Let's get some W's. It's got to start this year. Hopefully that confidence from him, hopefully that mindset that we're hearing from him, that translates to wins on the field. Another thing, too, that, he kind of said, too, he talked about the increased investment on NIL. He said, we're in the mix now. We're not on the outside. 2 years ago, we couldn't even get some kids to step foot on campus. Man, just kind of gives you a little bit of a look at how much money has changed college sports, and it's all about how, if you can pay players now, it's completely different. Completely different. All right, we got to take a quick break because I'm running out of time here. It's almost halftime. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. If you're from Wisconsin, you know there is something special about this time of year. The days are getting a little shorter. The evenings are cooling off. And before you know it, hunting season will be here. That means now is the time to get your gear ready. Whether you need a new firearm, maybe some ammunition, some accessories, or just some advice, make Tilden Gun your first stop. The folks at Tilden Gun aren't just there to help sell you some equipment. They're hunters, too. They know what works. They're happy to answer your questions, and they'll help make sure that you are ready long before opening morning arrives. So don't wait until the last minute. Stop by Tilden Gun and get geared up and start counting down the days to another great Wisconsin fall. Tilden Gun, helping Wisconsin hunters make the most of every season. Happy hunting and good luck when season is coming up. Just a couple minutes left to the top. So we've got, continue to send us your what ifs. It's a what if Wednesday. Your what are we doing here Wednesday? Send those puppies on over, all right? You can text them 715-830-1912 or hang out in the Section 105 chat room. We'll get back to some more baseball talk as we get set for Game 3 of this series between the Brewers and Giants. Day 1 of training camp. We've got Goody's going to be talking at 9:20, Matt LaFleur 9:50. So that'll be towards the end of our program. But if you could ask one question to either of those gentlemen, if you were a part of the media, what would it be? All right. What would it be? What would be the one question you would ask to Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst as we get set for training camp to begin today? Make it a good one. All right. So maybe I'll steal some of those when I go over there here in a couple of weeks. Who knows? If it's a good one, I might steal it. I'll give you credit. Maybe. We'll see. Unless it's the Bomber Surveyor, then I'm not giving them any credit. But all right, we got that. Hey, final call, too, because I want to start to put this together. If you want to join in one of our 715 fantasy football leagues, Sports Talk 105.1, 715 fantasy football leagues, text these two words, fantasy football, and I will send you the link to enter your email. I got to get an idea of how many of you are interested so we know how many leagues to create. So send those on over so I can give you the link. Or just go to the Sports Talk Facebook page and look for the link up there. It was posted a couple days ago. But I want to start to wrap that up so we can get things going and select some commissioners so they can run various leagues in that. But all right, shot clock's going to cut me off. We're at halftime, peeps. We'll get back to some more baseball talk coming up in the next hour. Where are you at on a scale of 1 to 10? How you feeling on this Wednesday before the Monday trade deadline? Do you think the Brewers are going to make a big move? 10 being you betcha, 1 being like, no. Hit me up. All right, we'll be back after these quick words. All right, here we go. Third hour. Kick it off right now on this Wednesday morning, halfway through the week, making the turn on the week. Final Wednesday of the month of July as we start to wrap it up here. Thanks for hanging out with us and talking some talking some Brewers, talking some Packers, a little Badgers, your what ifs. What are we doing here? If you got a good what if, send it on over. I'm trying to, if you got like an MLB trade deadline edition of some what ifs, send those. All right, send those on over. Would love to kind of make it that sort of theme, since this will be our last what if before Monday's trade deadline. So what's kind of an MLB trade deadline version? Maybe Brewers, or if you're a Twins fan, if you're a Cubs fan, whatever. All right. I want to hear from you. So we'll get to some baseball talk here in just a skosh. We've got day one of training camp for the Packers. We're going to hear from Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst next hour. What would be, if you were a part of the media that was covering practice today, what would be the first question? What would be the one question that you would ask either of those gentlemen as they get set to kick off training camp this year? What would be the one? We had some good ones throughout the morning so far, so keep those coming. All right, keep them coming. On a scale of 1 to 10, let's kick off this hour going back to some baseball talk. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you? Where's your trade-o-meter at? 1 to 10, 10 being definitely happening. Or 1 saying, please spare me. Not even close to happening. That you think the Brewers are going to make a, quote, major deal. I'm not talking like a deal that maybe is a bullpen guy that maybe we don't even know a lot about or even know who it is. That's not a major deal. I'm talking about a major deal, whether it's a Mason Miller, a Skubal, or an Abrams, or a Peralta, something like that. Looks like the average is about 6.5. All right, we'll see. Man, I'm starting to lean that way, but I'm also trying to just be a little cautious. I don't want to get all hands on deck, and then when we get to Monday and the day goes by and maybe no major move, and then you kind of like, oh, but I had my hopes up, man. I had my hopes up that this was going to happen, and no, they didn't. Ready to be disappointed again. I am kind of going that way. More and more insiders and people out there saying Brewers are talking, they're inquiring, they're doing this, they're doing that. So it's hard not to get excited. It's hard not to kind of buy into that. And I don't think Matt Arnold and the Brewers are going to be stupid. I don't think they're going to be dumb. I don't think they're just going to make moves just to make moves. And I don't think they're going to put everything on the table so it maybe sacrifices the future. So and when we look at, we're Wednesday here. It's deadline time now for a lot of these teams that are on that bubble, that line. Today, Skubal starts for the Tigers. Is it going to be his last start for the Tigers? And when you look at where the Tigers are at in the playoff chase, they're 3.5 back. What do you do if you lose? It does today's game, because Baltimore's ahead of you by a game. You're playing Baltimore. Does today's game determine whether you're going to be sellers or you're going to stand pat? After that, you've got the A's, and then you got the Mariners, another team that you're chasing that's ahead of you in the wild card standing. I don't envy being the man that has to make the decisions for Detroit in terms of whether you keep Skubal or not. The interesting thing here, too, is, and I'm curious, staying with the American League, Twins apparently are going to be buyers. Their GM just yesterday saying that they're going to be buyers. Saying we're really excited about how the team has played over this last stretch. We're really encouraged by that. In turn, we're going to use this next stretch, this next week, to do everything we can to find ways to improve the club and continue to execute on that goal and make it a reality. So, all right, what do you think about that, Twins fans? Right now, when you look at where the standings are at, you're a half game out from wild card spot. AL Central, though, you look at it from a division standpoint, you're just 2 back. I don't blame the Twins for saying, hey, why not? I got to imagine maybe after today, when you look at some of these teams in Major League Baseball, is this decision time? Like Detroit. Like, Padres are just 1.5 back, but Mason Miller's getting talked about. Miami. Cardinals have kind of fallen off here now. I don't think they'll be necessarily sellers, though. Could today be the decision day for the Tigers with Skubal on the mound, and will it be his last one? Another question we kind of threw out in the first hour: would you include Logan Henderson in any deal for like a Skubal? Let's say the Tigers called up Matt Arnold and said, hey, Matty, we'll give you Skubal. You got to give us a top 30 prospect, maybe a high A or single A prospect, but you got to include Logan Henderson as well. Do you do that? Do you include Logan Henderson on a potential deal for Skubal? Let's say that's who the Tigers want. Because some reports out there saying Tigers want a Major League ready arm. Okay. Brewers have a few of those guys. They've got some depth there. Shane Drone, Brandon Sproat, Logan Henderson. You throw a little Robert Gasser in there. Coleman Crow's got a couple, but I don't think that would be the one that would tip the needle or tip the scale. But what if it takes Logan Henderson? Oh, gosh, you guys, the fan in me and the realist in me, it's the devil, it's the angel on the shoulders, back and forth. Who wins? That's tough. It's tough. Logan Henderson doesn't have a wide track record right now, but in the limited amount of starts that we've seen from him last year and this year, dude's looked good. He has looked really good. Are you willing to move on from that? And we don't know if Logan Henderson is going to continue to be that way, but are you willing to move on from that to get a couple of months left to Skubal? It's not a guarantee it's going to get you a World Series. And the question is, okay, you get Skubal. Is that still enough to beat the Dodgers when it comes to the playoffs? It definitely gives you better odds, better chances. And I do wonder, too, I mean, you look at what the Cubs are doing. Don't overlook the Cubs. You look at some of these National League teams, and you look at what they're doing from an offensive standpoint. Cubs right now, offensively, doing pretty darn good. I mean, let's just look at, let me try to narrow this down. Runs scored here. I mean, Nationals are up there. You got the Pirates up there. Cubs are third in the league for the most runs scored. Dodgers fourth. Then you got the Brewers. Then you got the Braves. I mean, these are going to be teams that you might very well have to, run into when it comes to the postseason. Let me see if I can do the last 30 days and narrow it down. Yeah, Cubs are tied for the most runs in the last 30 days with the Nationals. Then you got the Braves at number 5. Brewers sitting there at number 8. And has it switched to as the main priority a starter over a bat? For the longest time at the beginning of the year, it was Brewers they need another bat. They got to get another bat. Go out there and get another bat. Well, who is that bat? There isn't really that one guy out there. I mean, Abrams has been mentioned, but I still struggle to see Washington actually doing that. I think what it boils down to for Matt Arnold and his Brewers team to decide whether they're going to be aggressive and really try to push for maybe a guy like a Skubal or maybe even a Freddie Peralta. They have to ask themselves this one question. We're in the postseason. Biz, we trust. Do we trust any of our other younger, inexperienced starters when it gets to the postseason? The postseason is a different animal. Do we trust any of our other guys to go out there and start a game 2, a game 3, a game 4? They've been pitching really well in the regular season, but do we trust that in the postseason? Or do we need to maybe find a veteran who has some playoff experience in those moments? That's what it might boil down to. I want to talk a little bit more about this. Got to take a quick break, though. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Looking for your next great night out? Well, make it the VFW Post at 305 in Eau Claire with live music, exciting events happening throughout the month, great food, cold drinks, and a fun, welcoming atmosphere. There is always a reason to stop by. Whether you're meeting up with friends or looking for something fun to do, the VFW Post 305 has something for everyone. Be sure to follow the VFW Post 305 on Facebook to stay up to date on all their latest events and entertainments. Okay, so Jeff Passan mentioned, again, now we had heard about this a little bit last week, but Jeff Passan, who, I don't know, if I had to pick an MLB insider analyst, to me it's Jeff Passan. But he mentions that the Brewers and the Mets have been talking about Freddie Peralta. All right, so, I mean, it's not just speculation out there. To me, if Passan says they're talking, there's got to be something there. Again, here's the audio from Jeff Passan.
Yeah, well, Freddie Peralta will be getting out of Queens, and there are so many different places he could go. I know he's been tied to the Chicago Cubs a lot. Don't see that one happening necessarily. I think a lot of things would have to change in order for that to be a matchup. But one thing I did hear this week, Richard, is that the Mets have been talking with the Brewers about Freddie Peralta. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it's the kind of deal where you see what they would get back from Milwaukee, considering what they gave up. Is that a trade that David Stearns politically already just getting flayed every time he's mentioned in New York? Is that something he can pull off? Could he actually deal him back to Milwaukee?
So there you go. And what I think we have to remember, too, that Brewers are not going to, like, send back everything that they got. It's not going to be like Draft Day, the movie Draft Day, okay? They're not going to send back Brandon Sproat and Jet Williams for Freddie Peralta. That's not happening. But if it's cheaper, which I would imagine it would be, what would your thoughts be on that? So I was looking up some of the numbers because, okay, if the Brewers are going to acquire a starting pitcher, I want to know, is this a pitcher that can go out there and beat the Dodgers, beat the Braves, beat the Cubs, beat the Phillies, those teams? Freddie Peralta's numbers, now let's remember, majority of these are when he was with the Brewers. But against the Dodgers, Freddie Peralta is 4-2 with an ERA of 3.40 in 9 appearances versus the Dodgers. He has pitched against the Dodgers once this year for the Mets. He went 4 innings, gave up 6 hits, and 2 earned runs. Freddie Peralta against the Braves. In 11 appearances, 6-2 with a 3.83 ERA. He has faced the Braves twice this year. And he went 5 innings in the first game, gave up 1 earned run. Second game, 4 2/3, 1 earned run. Freddie Peralta against the Cubs. 24 appearances, no shocker, 9-4 with a 3.13 ERA. He has faced the Cubs twice this year with the Mets. First game, 5 2/3, 3 earned runs. Second game, 5 2/3, no earned runs. And then I threw the Phillies in here too, just because. But Freddie Peralta, 0-3 against Philadelphia with a 5.30 ERA. He has faced Philly once this year, and it was not good. 2 2/3, 10 earned runs. Yikes. So that one definitely probably inflated some of the numbers against the Phillies. But that's because that's kind of what I'm looking at. And I looked up Scooble, like for the Dodgers. He's only gone up against them twice and doesn't have a win. And don't know if that's a big enough sample size to look at. But just throwing those numbers out there. I feel like Scooble is going to be too pricey for the Brewers. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be too pricey. I think a team Hate to say it, but it might be the Dodgers. It might be somebody else, Yankees or whomever, that is going to put together that package that is going to entice the Tigers a little bit more. Right now, on my gauge, I feel like the Tigers are going to hold on to him. I don't think Skubal gets traded. Does that mean they're probably going to risk losing him and some prospects? It sure does. If they were 7 games out, 6 games out maybe, then I could see it. Or I guess I could see if the reports are true that they want a major league ready arm. That's still a way for them to compete for this year. So again, like a Logan Henderson, if they want a guy like a Logan Henderson, all right, you got a guy that you can insert in your starting rotation right now while getting some other assets. So maybe that's the ideal approach for the Tigers. That I can see happening. They move on from Skubal, but they get a guy that can pitch right now. A little bit more upside, a little bit more control for the next few years. That I could see. I just don't think the Brewers are going to pay for that price. I just don't see it happening. Maybe I'm wrong, but all right. So let's throw this scenario out there. And I know I'm focusing just on these 2 starters, but this is what we got to work with here. Okay. This is your 4-man rotation when it comes to the postseason. Miz, Skubal, Sproat, Drowan, or Miz, or let me back up now. I forgot about Kyle Harrison. Miz, Skubal, Harrison, Sproat / Drowan, or Miz, Harrison, Logan Henderson, Peralta, Drowan, and Sproat in the bullpen. Which one would you rather have? Skubal, Miz, Harrison, and then a combo of Sproat and Drowan, or Miz, Harrison, Henderson, Freddie Peralta, and then you move Drowan and Sproat to the pen. Are either one of those head and shoulders above the other? Think about that for a bit. It's hard not to sit there and say from, on paper, Miz, you telling me I could get Miz and Skubal and Harrison, assuming Harrison, when he comes back, he's going to be the same Harrison that we saw. You telling me I get those 3 and then I can do a piggyback of a Drowan and Sproat? A lot of teams would take that. There's no question. A lot of teams would also take option B. By option B's standards, you can say that, all right, we improved the bullpen too by putting Sproat and Drowan in there. That's kind of the trickle-down effect. Because I think you could get Freddie Peralta for a starter right now. Maybe you can get him for a prospect. That's just me. I could be completely off, but. So option A, yeah, you got a couple of great front lines. Option B, you add a veteran, but you add by default to the bullpen too. All right, let's take a quick break. Back with plenty more coming up after these few words. It happens every year. 1 minute, you're grilling burgers, heading to the lake, and watching the kids play outside. And the next thing you know, you're shopping for school supplies and wondering where the heck summer went. Before the backpacks come out and the busy fall schedule takes over, now is the perfect time to freshen up your home with new flooring from Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Whether it's soft new carpet for the family room, durable luxury vinyl, planks for those muddy boots, the team at Carpet City Flooring Center will help find the perfect floor for your family and your budget. They're locally owned, they know Wisconsin homes, and they're committed to making the process easy from start to finish. Make the most of these last weeks of summer. Stop on into Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire today, because home is where families make their best memories. All right. All right. So we've got, we're continuing to talk some more baseball here this morning. And one team that says they are going to be buyers is your Minnesota Twins there, Luke. So what's your thoughts on the GM saying they're going to be buyers at the trade deadline?
Relief. And that relief is kind of a double entendre, because they need relief pitchers thanks to what they did last year. And also relief because this is the first time, at least I'm feeling, that it's as close to a Sherman-esque / LBJ, think of all of the absolute definitive statements that they are going to buy now. You remember how I talked earlier when the Byron Buxton talk from about a month ago or so, when he said, I want to stay, and Jeremy Zoll, the GM, said, like that is our intention, or there was something there you're like, okay, yeah, well, that could go in either direction. What he was saying last night, or yesterday, exactly whenever it was, but saying that, yes, we are going to buy. Okay, good. So there will not be a sell-off this year. It's tempting when you're in a fan base, when your team does something really unpopular, and by and large, the philosophy of the team seems to still be intact based on the personnel, to think that the same thing's going to happen again. The Twins management is obviously upper management is, well, all the management is different. They have a different controlling owner. It's a Polat, but it's a different Polat. They have a different director of baseball ops, GM, different person running the front office. They have a different on-field manager as well from 1 year ago. But I would think they have similar economic issues, financial issues, at least to some extent. So that's where I was wondering, are they still going to want to try to save as much money as possible? They're competitive, obviously. They're at 500. They're closer to a playoff spot, largely because the American League is more mediocre compared to last year. And that doesn't necessarily hold for the entirety of the season, but they're close enough. And then when we talk about the vagaries of the postseason, what could happen? They could go on a run just because that's how postseasons tend to go. Best of 5 series, suddenly, bam, you find yourself in the ALCS and you're on the verge of the World Series. You get a few breaks here and there. So I'm glad to hear it. That's what you want ultimately. You want your team to win, as much as people wanted to protest the Twins and everything. And I had that sentiment too. I still want them to win and go on a playoff run finally. So at least another one after 2023. So good to hear. And they're definitely not going to be trading off Byron Buxton. I mean, I don't know how you can be buyers and also sell him. Well, I know now he's injured again, so you're probably not going to sell him for much of anything anyway. But they're going to be buyers, and there's not that many obvious sellers still. Because what is it? The Giants, Rockies, and Mets are probably the big three. And after that, there's so many that have potential. The prices are going to be pretty high, I would think, across the board. So the Twins will probably get, again, relief pitchers. They acknowledge it. And after that, I don't know how much more they're going to get, but at least they're not going to be selling like 10 players at the deadline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I wonder, at what point do some of these teams? I think today's a big day for the Tigers. Scooble's on the mound. I mean, I almost would dare to say if they win, does that kind of determine if they lose, where they're because one team that they're chasing is Baltimore, who they are playing again today. So I think the Tigers are the biggest unknown at this point, what they're going to be doing by Monday. I honestly feel like they're not going to trade him unless they get a arm ready that can pitch as soon as they get him.
Well, they were playing at a 100-win pace since the beginning of June. I mean, they're hot. Overall speaking, they're hot. Maybe not very recently, but overall, they're playing very well. So it's essentially 2025 again. But is that enough? Yeah, I like. So you don't think Skubal's good? If Skubal gets traded, and you think it's a less than 50% chance, if he does, are the Brewers a top 5 candidate at this point, or does he still end up with one of the usual suspects?
I think you could say top 5. Okay. I think the Brewers would have to probably include a guy like Logan Henderson, though. And I don't know if right now, I mean, it's about 50-50. We've asked this question all morning long amongst Brewers fans, whether they would want to include Henderson on there. So, I mean, it's 50-50. It's not going to just be Logan Henderson. It's going to be Logan Henderson or probably another top 30 prospect and then a single-A guy or something. Yeah. To do that move. You're trading future for now, essentially. So
all in. But that's what it is. You got the best record in baseball at any given moment. Try to take advantage of that. And then hope he doesn't get like injured or something, and then you're screwed. But that's the risk you have with literally any player. With some of the previews, what was that? There was the ESPN one recently. Yeah, I think it's going to be more of a quieter deadline. I mean, you got there's not that many pitchers to go around. What is it? Mason Miller and Tarek Skubal and
Freddie Peralta.
And that's still a maybe
everybody. Jeff Passan already said he's done. He's not pitching again with the Mets. So there you have it.
Wow. Is Freddie Peralta going to be a Milwaukee Brewer again?
I say the chances of Freddie Peralta being a Brewer are higher than Skubal.
Okay. But is it greater than 50%?
45.
Okay.
45.
Who's the biggest challenger you think, based on what you're reading or your gut feeling
for
Peralta?
Well, Passan said it's not the Cubs. He said he doesn't see how that's going to happen. I just wonder if the big market teams are wondering about Peralta. Is it the reason he's struggling is because he's a bigger market? I could see the Rays making a pull for him if they're all in on Skubal and want starting pitcher. Rays are a very similar situation to what the Brewers are.
Yeah, seems logical.
So
there just seems to be something off about the Mets, and I mean that in one of the vaguest ways possible. I'm not implying anything like what is it with that team chemistry, atmosphere, what that stuff doesn't seem to click all the time, where that doesn't seem to always be a problem over in the Bronx. Yankees don't always have that issue. It does happen with the Mets, and it almost doesn't matter who they have. It's just like a thing. I suppose if you talk to longtime Mets fans, they're like, yeah, we're plagued. Okay, maybe that is the thing. But, yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I think Peralta will do better elsewhere. I don't know how much better he does in Milwaukee. Like, I don't think he would be a dud.
I think he'd be better in Milwaukee than he is with the Mets this year.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Now, would he be as good as last year? Probably not, but I think the familiarity, the familiarity, just the everybody already knows him. Contreras, Chris Hook. I mean, you put a lot of faith into the pitching coordination staff. I mean, all that would be in favor of getting what they could get out of Freddie Peralta.
Familiarity and chemistry are going to make a lot of difference. He will get cheered like the first time he comes on the mound at American Family Field. He'll get cheers like he hasn't heard probably since he was last in Milwaukee as a Brewer. So I mean not that 5 minutes is going to make a difference, but again, the all of that is better with Milwaukee. So will the Brewers make this is about as vague of a question as I can ask. Will the Brewers make a big move by the trade deadline? Because by the time I'm next on, we will have passed.
That's the question we're throwing out there. On a scale of 1 to 10, everybody's at about a 6.5.
That seems right. It's like, yeah.
Now, when I say big, major, it's for a name everybody knows.
Yeah.
Not a bullpen guy that has a 4 ERA that people are like, who?
Right. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if the name that they get is not necessarily one of the best players in baseball. I wouldn't be surprised if they get a name that's not Skubal or Miller or Peralta. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's someone that you're like, oh, okay, maybe they can make somewhat of a different. I'm trying to think who's a good example. It's just not coming to me right now, but if I saw the list. Deadline deal of a guy that was kind of a name and kind of helped on a playoff run. Is Moustakas one of those? I'm trying
Moustakas
to remember.
was, yeah.
So maybe someone like that, someone where you're like, hey, they're on the downside of their career, and then they come to Milwaukee and magically something works. Because that's the tendency as well. You come to Milwaukee, and for pretty much everyone other than Seattle guy who then hated the Brewers. Went to New York.
Yeah.
Very year or two ago. Blanking on his name, but you know who I'm talking
I know
about.
who you're talking about.
Yep, him. Outside of him, it seems like almost everyone else comes to Milwaukee and gets better, or at least fits better, if not necessarily has a great increase. It's like that it works. This is where, once again, you trust the Brewers front office to know what they're doing. You trust the Brewers coaches to coach up the players well enough that they're still going to compete.
Jesse Winker.
Winker,
Yeah.
you're right. So I'm the 6.5 out of 10 seems that kind of matches where I'm at too.
I think let's get probably by, would you say, by the weekend. I mean, obviously Monday's a deadline. Will these fringe teams, they got to decide here by Friday? Before they start their last series before the weekend?
This idea of all of these World Series being played at the end of July is kind of fascinating, and it's really short-sighted. But how else do you, unless you have a very 35,000-foot approach to the season, I think it's also best to wait as late as possible. If there's not much of a market, even if you've fundamentally decided, no, we're not going to compete, wait. You're going to get some desperate teams, too.
Right.
I'll bet, actually, there's a fair number who've decided. And they're not going to say, because they know they know they're in for a big haul, can they get an even bigger haul?
It's a game of chicken at this point.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
That's where we're at.
And who really is in and who's like, no, we're competing. We're not competing. We're competing. And then at the very last minute, oh gosh, okay, we're out. And then they can try to get 10 prospects or something like that.
Yep.
That'll be fascinating.
All right, we got to take a quick break before the top of the hour. We'll be back to wrap up the third hour after these quick words. Don't forget to check out the latest and greatest deals going on at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. You can head on over to their Facebook page and check out their latest flyer where you've got, you got deals on Hy-Vee Midwest pork boneless butterfly or America's Cut chop. Talk about $1.77, $1.97 for Hy-Vee cheese. That's either shredded, bar, or cubed. You've got buy 5, get 5 free Gatorade sports drinks. Kiddos love that, especially if they're still into ball season. You've got $1.28 Hy-Vee dip, and you can check out their section 2 where you can save at the gas pump with their perks. We're talking about like a 100 count of Hy-Vee coffee. Get one of those boxes for your K-Cups. You're talking about 25 cents off per gallon with that. That's a heck of a deal. So you can go again to the Hy-Vee Facebook page, Hy-Vee and Eau Claire Facebook page, and check out their flyer for this week. We got about a few minutes left to the top of the hour, where we should be getting a video soon of the bike path. The bike's going to training camp, so it's coming. It's coming. Matt LaFleur is going to be talking in about 30 minutes. Or no, Goody's up first, then it's Matt LaFleur. So get ready for a whole lot of nothing.
Right. Anyone going to bring out a dog?
A dog?
You saw the after Vrabel last week.
Oh, yeah. No.
That would be funny if someone, I mean, no one would do that because, coaching fraternity and everything, but that would be really funny if some coach somewhere brought out like a wiener dog or something like that.
Yep.
Like, ask me the tough questions. Look at this adorable puppy.
Right. Jeez. That'll be coming up here momentarily. I know some people are going over to practice. It's an annual tradition for a few of our listeners, so that's a pretty cool thing. I'm going to be going there in a couple weeks and that. So cool. But it's here, baby. It's here. So actually, one of my Facebook memories showed up that we were there, but it was already a week into it. So a little bit later, just how the schedule, calendar plays out.
It varies a bit. Would not be surprised if it gets a little earlier if we ever get to an 18-game season. Just because I think we're going to probably get earlier football. It's supposed to going further and further later, probably get up to Labor Day weekend again. So could be back into closer to mid-July at some point. We'll see.
Yeah. So we'll do some overreaction tomorrow based off of just one practice. Don't worry. It's going to be
folks.
coming back. Next hour, since you are here, I will reveal the Lindsey Pipkins Memorial.
He's still alive, folks.
Yeah, Memorial Watch Player Award List, honor, whatever, all those words.
Your watch list for this year.
Yep.
Now we've now gone beyond awarding it. Now we have a watch list for the award.
Exactly. So that's who I'll.
Okay. So do you have the list of prior award recipients?
I think I could look it up.
Okay,
I just got to look up Lindsey Pipkins' first year and then work that way.
Yes, let's get the list here because, again, we need. I will work on putting together a very rudimentary plaque, probably on paper.
So it was 2017.
2017 was the first.
If you don't know the history behind this, I was
because there's probably people listening like, wait, Lindsey Pipkins, who is he, and is he dead? No, he's alive first.
I was at a preseason game. I think it might have been like a Thursday game or something. And wasn't going to be on the show the next week. So I emailed you at I think 12 midnight or 1 in the morning.
I remember this.
Like thoughts because you were filling in for me. And I said something about Lindsey Pipkins as a player to watch. And he made the team. So it just kind of turned into some.
And the name, sometimes it's as simple as what is the name like? And it catches on a little bit. We're just like Lindsey Pipkins. Mm-hmm. And he made the team. So
he made the team.
We made this a thing of who's the player to watch? And you kind of had a thing going for a couple years of whomever it was made the team.
Yep. So every year we've done one. Gotten some right, gotten some way off.
Right. So we'll I may keep reminding you about this because I keep forgetting myself. Well, let's get a full rundown here of prior award recipients.
We can. I'll type up the first one, 2017. Lindsey Pipkins.
All right. There we go. One down. A whole bunch more to go.
So we got to do 2018.
2019. There was a year or two where I don't think there was anyone that was a recipient. I think there was one year there were two.
Yeah, I think there was. I think you're right. So
So
I'll know it when I go through the roster.
yes, because you would know this stuff. So we'll get the full list of Lindsey Pipkins Award recipients.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is the 10th.
The
10th annual.
The 10th annual.
Holy crap! Been
Yes.
doing this for 10 years. Jesus.
Still got to get a hold of Lindsey Pipkins to see if he can.
One of
That
these
would be a
days.
bit if somehow he actually was like, oh, cool, and he would announce it. This year's recipient of the Lindsey Pipkins Award is blank.
Yeah, I'm going to work on this during the breaks. Too,
Okay,
see
cool.
if I've got enough time to figure this out.
Okay,
So,
cool.
But yeah, that's coming your way.
All right. The name. And now is this the history list or the watch list for this year?
Both.
Okay.
I'm going to work on the watch list. To who? Now the rule is it's got to be like a 6th, 7th round or undrafted.
Right. Yes. This is not the first rounder because duh.
Right. So it's got to be
Or second rounder. This.
We're not going the easy route with a 4th or 5th rounder.
No.
That's no.
This has to be like a whoa. You made the team.
Yep.
He's doing well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. I remember 18 now. Now I looked at the list. So
Okay.
Raven Green. Remember?
Yes. Yes. Raven Green. Right.
Yep. So Raven Green was my 28 one.
Okay. So 2017, 2018. You jot this stuff down. I'm
I'm
gonna
typing it right now.
Good.
so.
And then I'll double save it in a notepad doc here on our server here in our building.
How about everybody else? You can play along too. Who's going to be on your watch list
For this year.
For this year.
Look again, undrafted or 6th round or lower. Who is on your watch list?
Yep. So, all right. So we'll get to that coming up in the next hour. We'll get back to some more baseball talk, as well as we got a game today. 2:45 first pitch for the Brewers. Okay. So, little getaway day is what I was trying to say, because then they got an off day, but they're staying on the West Coast and taking on the Angels later on, starting Friday. So, all right, shot clock's going to cut us off. We've got some news updates, and then we'll be back here in just a couple minutes to kick off the final hour on this Wednesday morning. We'll be right back after these quick words. All right, the fourth and final hour kicking off right now on this Wednesday morning. Happy Making the Turn Wednesday, everybody. Appreciate you hanging out and making this a part of your start here. It's day one of training camp day for the Packers. Day one of practice. The bikes are going to be out and about. Kiddos, oh yeah, I'm already seeing the pictures lined up. Kids lined up. I want to know if anybody listening has ever done it as a kid. Were they able to go to Green Bay and they were a kid and player rode their bike?
The bike thing.
I never got a chance to, so I'm curious if anybody out there did. But hey, Surveyor's got his top three: Damani Jackson, Josh Geske, and Jaden Nixon. Top three: Lindsey Pipkins. He also says, can we please get an actual award, like an actual trophy? So
we need to work on that too.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
I like your idea of the plaque.
Yes.
Where we just add the different names
here
every
in
year.
The studio.
Yep. So, we got to come up with a better name though. A little bit shorter, but we still got to have it kind of long so it's funny. The Lindsey Pipkins Memorial.
Something involving
preseason.
Lindsey Pipkins. Yes.
Lindsey Pipkins Memorial preseason MVP. Something like that.
Something like that. He is on Instagram. I remember we were looking this up at one point. When was his last post? July 17th, so he's still around.
On my birthday, so there's another sign.
He's doing a lot of, like, Instagram model pictures.
Oh.
I mean, he's well-dressed.
We'll let our Instagram junkie C-Bomb maybe try to reach out to him.
He is followed by C-Bomb.
There you go. So
the only mutual.
There you go. So
Pippi Longsock is his.
Which makes sense.
It's spelled a little different, but yes.
So I went through and I have my list of the MVPs, the players. So again, these are like my predictions of 6th, 7th undrafted guy that's going to make the roster.
Okay, so these are prior Lindsey Pipkins Award recipients. Yep. They don't know that they got it, but
Lindsey Pipkins was the first one,
yes.
2017. 2018 was a safety, Raven Green.
Yes.
2019 was a linebacker, Randy Ramsey.
Okay.
2020, another linebacker, Chris Barnes.
Okay.
2021, was it the trash can full of dirt or Jack Heflin? Remember him from Iowa?
Vaguely.
Yeah.
Vaguely.
Tyler Goodson, the running back from Iowa, 2022.
Okay.
Malik Heath, 2023.
Okay.
Kalen King, 2024.
That's right, the other King.
Yep. And last year was Nazir Stackhouse.
Okay, so again, you kind of get what you expect with that.
Yeah.
Okay, ones, some that I haven't heard probably since they were given the award.
Right.
Again, they don't know that they were given it, but it's out there.
I do think we need to do. It's like the hole-in-one plaques at T-High and Gall in Medford. It's just this huge wall of plaques. You just add the name.
Yes, that's the thing. The little nameplates. Mm-hmm. Anyone has like some really. I don't want to say cheap because that diminishes the importance of the award.
Correct.
But if someone has a hookup,
financially acceptable.
Yes.
Conscious. Nothing.
Right.
You know.
Yes.
Better than the beer drinking trophy I won for our softball team in 2008.
Right.
It was a piece of wood, some rods with empty beer cans, another piece of wood, and then the nice little engraved thing.
Yes.
And then recycled baseball player top trophies on another beer can.
Right. Yes. It's something beyond that. So if anyone's in the plaque industry, can work on that, send something over. And remember, this is an annual thing. So if you provide it, you have to be able to keep providing this for perpetuity as long as your show exists.
Mm-hmm. Maybe after this year it won't. So who knows?
This might be the last one, so you may not have to worry about that. On the other hand, it could be 40 years from now. You're like 80 years old and still doing the show.
I hope not. I hope I'm alive. I'm just saying.
That too. Look, if Bob Bosel's like 200 years old, he's still on the radio, so the bar is high. So you might have to keep doing this every year. So plan accordingly.
Yeah, I don't know. So we'll see.
All right,
we'll see. Yeah, if you want to play along, you can send those on over like Survey did. He must have been waiting. He named off 3 people.
Wow,
right away. So,
gosh. So who's the better preseason scout buff, you or Surveyor Sam?
I don't know. I guess, we'll find out.
Like, I thought you topped everyone else, but if Surveyor's got that fast? Ugh, wow.
I've got here. Can I tell you my?
Are you going to say this for the pod?
I can say it now.
Okay.
I can say it now. So I'll go 4.
Okay.
I've been hovering on the 4th one.
Okay.
This is just a watch list.
Okay, watch list.
Watch list.
Because you don't award this
It's like
until
the
they make the
Heisman
roster.
watch list. Exactly.
They don't make the roster. Then
Well, before they make the final cuts, like
Right.
that entering that. This
Yes.
is the guy that's won
Yeah.
the preseason. Damani Jackson's a great pick, like Surveyor said, 6th-round pick out of Alabama. You got to put him on there.
Yeah.
I am going to go with also a quarterback. Kyron Drone. They love this guy from Virginia Tech.
Okay.
They loved him during the lead up to the draft process. He went undrafted, and they signed him. I could see him being practice squad guy, but they love this guy.
Okay.
So watch him during preseason, maybe. Watch this quarterback. Maybe he could be the backup next year
Name
after
again?
Tyrod Taylor. Drones. He's from Virginia Tech.
Drones. Okay.
So I got to throw
Thoughts?
him on there. I got to throw in Kelly, the edge rusher from Central Florida.
Okay.
Josh Gesky's a great pick too. I got to throw him in there as well. So those are my 4.
Okay.
So
jot that down, folks.
there are a lot of similarities to Surveyor. I did not have Jaden Nixon. He had Jaden Nixon, but we'll see how
Okay.
the running back thing plays out. That could be a practice squad guy.
Okay.
But those are my 4.
So again, if they make the practice squad, that counts
It does count, yeah.
because they are part of the team.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The Kelly one is a little bit of a how do I want to say this? It's a risky one because I think they got a little bit more depth. But what kind of swayed me? Packers gave him the biggest kind of bonus in contract. So
Okay.
maybe coming in with a little bit more of that.
Some of the reasoning behind giving a bonus. I'm trying to suss out, is that because they're afraid that he would,
Go somewhere else.
yeah,
Yeah.
or, yeah, okay.
Yeah, just kind of,
Or is it that they really do believe in him that much? They're just like, we're going to pay you extra because we like you and we think you're going to do well.
probably honestly a little bit of both.
Okay.
So, but
All right.
so
that's your watch
That's
list.
my watch list.
All right.
Which means somebody completely different.
Probably not.
So, completely different
Yeah.
on there.
The 10th annual Lindsey Pipkins, not quite memorial.
Or you know what? If
Preseason
somebody wants to, here's another one. We could get a nice piece of a board. We'll varnish it, and then we'll just kind of like etch all the names. I don't know. I'm just throwing out some.
Calligraphy, I mean, that
Yeah.
would work.
That's a fancy word, but I know what it means.
Right. Involves pen work, so you don't have to have an engraver.
Did you know that's what inspired Steve Jobs too? I actually know that one.
I don't know that I did.
I knew that one.
Okay.
Yeah, they're doing the whole prelude video, talking, getting ready for the. Is it still the Dream Drive or Dream Ride down in Green Bay? I'm not quite
Not
sure
sure.
how they're setting that all up, but
They'll probably sell the corporate sponsorship to make some more money.
anyway, well, I think it was like sponsored by American Family Insurance.
Yeah, so well, there you go. They've already squeezed that.
whatever it takes to not have the naming rights to Lambeau Field, right?
Do you? Okay, you may or may not have addressed this because I know you'd said on the show that don't go by the social media freakouts. But I'm going to bring up his name, and I'm sorry, but because he went there. What Mike Florio thought that the last, maybe you saw this too, the
ownership,
the last ditch thing of that they dissolve so that they can essentially become an expansion team, and then you bring in an owner that way. And he said this is the last ditch thing. He didn't say that this is a likelihood, but you know how his conspiratorial mind goes. And him being cynical, he thinks part of that's because, in case anyone didn't bother to read it, which you live a better life than us if you're not reading Mike Florio, that it's in part because, like, the NFL would like that because it allows them to close the books. Wouldn't get to see it. Honestly, I don't know how much of a difference that makes. Like, I forget about that. Like, so we know what the average is for everyone else. Like, we don't know that the New Orleans Saints are in really bad financial shape. Because how would you know one way or the other? I mean, you think that's likely at all to happen?
No. that they would dissolve and then become like an expansion, and
because we're like, oh no, we're only winning 2 games a year because no one wants to go to Green Bay anymore because everyone else is raising private equity, and so then they decide to dissolve that way.
If that happens, I don't think it'll happen in my lifetime, and I hope I live for a very long time.
Right. Yeah.
That would have to go really, really bad, I feel. Right? I mean, that would have to just...
honestly, I think it's more likely that the NFL would, quote unquote, force, and I'm not saying this is a likelihood. I think it's more likely that the NFL would say, we got to get rid of your model, kind of getting back to the whole, we want to close the books thing.
Well, and this is where I don't understand legal stuff, so I wouldn't know. But is there a way that they could come up with a thing that they don't have to open them? It'd still be publicly owned, but is there what's the word I'm trying to think of? A caveat or something like that?
Something they probably could. Maybe they slightly change the ownership structure. I don't know. Maybe. But again, I don't know that really makes much of a difference. If you can tell the financial health of any league by like its media rights deals. Mm-hmm. We know the NFL's doing really well. So what? That's how you. Yeah, I guess it would be a bit more of a. Like, I think the bigger impact would be that takes away part of the appeal of the Packers, that they're the people's team. Yeah, I know the stock doesn't really mean anything, but then your stock really doesn't mean anything. And they're like, it's basically, you could have like a hedge fund guy from the coast. But then again, the Brewers and Bucks have gotten hedge fund guys from the coast or financial guys, and they've actually had some of their bigger success of late. So, like, would that necessarily be a bad thing?
But I think the thing that really helps out Green Bay, too, though, is the salary cap. It is a hard salary cap. Mm-hmm. Where the NBA, you've got the luxury tax and different levels.
And yes, you can do the prorating, et cetera, but you still have to pay it up at a certain point. Mm-hmm. Or if you don't want to, you do turn into the New Orleans Saints.
Yes.
And you're constantly struggling. You have to choose one or the other.
Mm-hmm. I do, now since it is a What If Wednesday, I do wonder what if, let's say there was never the Lombardi Packers with the lore, but there was still the Green Bay Packers, but there was not the historical aspect of it. Then I think there's something to it.
Yeah. I'm not sure if they're, as we know them right now. Like, maybe they are the Wisconsin Packers playing
in Milwaukee or Madison or something.
Yes. Yeah. That's realistically, I could have seen that happening. Probably the one thing is that they got a new stadium in 1957. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of places had that. That would have sufficed for a long time. Now, it probably would have run out sometime in the 80s or 90s. Like, this wouldn't have been a 1970s sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But I could see without the 60s success, and if they're really the dregs of the league for like 2 decades, maybe something in the 80s happens. But that's one where I can't even come up with a parallel scenario because so much else would have to happen. But yeah, I could see the end result being nice domed stadium in Pewaukee or something like that. And maybe that's where they're playing to this day.
Right.
And then maybe they're threatening, but then if they've got their own owner, then maybe they've threatened to move. I mean, we saw that with the Brewers. We saw that with the Bucks. Maybe the Packers actually would have done it. And maybe we're in a scenario right now without the Lombardi Packers. I think I wouldn't even put a percentage on it. I think it's unlikely, but I think there is a much greater percentage chance than zero that the Green Bay Packers are actually like the Las Vegas so-and-so or the St. Louis so-and-so, and they would have by now long moved out in Wisconsin, wouldn't even have a team.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
I know that's inconceivable, but without the Lombardi era, I think it is definitely a possibility. Mm-hmm. Lombardi, I don't want to really make such a statement, but Lombardi probably saved the Packers.
Yeah.
To be blunt, without that, it's a very different scenario.
I would co-sign on that 100% because, everybody, I think a lot of people would say, well, they still had Favre. You don't know if that Favre and Reggie and all that stuff would have still happened.
Yeah, by that point, if Lombardi doesn't happen, there's so many other things that do or do not happen. I mean, the other scenarios, there's no Lombardi, but then 1969, 1970 rolls around and, actually, Chuck Noll decides to go over. That's some random thing, and suddenly they turn into the Pittsburgh Steelers of the 1970s.
Right.
And they're winning 4 Super Bowls in the 70s, and then the Steelers don't have,
Yeah.
I mean, it's beyond a butterfly effect.
Right. Exactly.
This can stretch into other teams of their fortunes. So we don't know. What if Bud Grant decided to go over there? And starts winning Super Bowls, or they turn into they turn into the Vikings, where they start going to Super Bowls and losing. I'm not saying that Bud Grant equals losing Super Bowls, but what if that happens?
Right.
The Vikings are withering, and maybe they move because, hey, we're in Met Stadium, and this is a baseball stadium, and we want to move out, and then the Vikings move, and then the Packers are like the upper Midwest team. Choose your adventure. There's 10 of them you can come up with, and that's not even enough.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
I want to talk a little bit more about this with some of the comments from Ed Policy the other day here, too, as we get set for training camp to begin. But we got to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after these quick words. So Goody is doing his press conference right now. Just only one thing of note. Aaron Banks is already coming off of the PUP list. So that's the one thing with the PUP list. If they begin camp on the PUP list, they could come off at any point in time. So his short-lived presence on that PUP list will be over with today.
Right.
So he did say he feels really – this was kind of an interesting little comment, I guess, from him. He said about the offensive line group, I really like that group. I think we've got some guys in places this year that make a little more sense.
Okay. Interesting.
So, Ed Policy, though, I mean, obviously we just had the shareholders meeting a little bit earlier this week on Monday. And, you know, he had said some other stuff beforehand and talked about, and the financials you mentioned that had come out. And actually, Green Bay was like $1.1 million in the red. Oh, my God, they're in trouble. It broke it down by, well, dead cap, having to pay salaries from players they had moved on, and obviously with the Micah Parsons trade, and that's and Policy mentioned, you know, short, and then kind of the medium term. They're in good shape. Long term, it's kind of an unknown, and I know people are freaking out about that already too. But I mean, that's his job, is to be looking towards the long term, right? I mean,
He has to talk about it. The other teams don't have to.
Right. And that's what I want him to be focusing on. I want him to focus on the long-term picture of everything. And I think there's some fans that are kind of maybe starting to freak out a little bit, and they're getting annoyed with it. And, you know, maybe some things are starting to spin out of control. And it is funny to see all these different, because I get the press releases now. Mm-hmm. Oh, this is now presented by so-and-so, or this is like, you know, but that's part of the plan. And I think people got to kind of like chill out a little bit. It's not the good old days again anymore. The NFL is getting bigger. Like he said, it's getting more expensive to win. Mm-hmm. Don't you want your team to be able to figure out ways where they can spend money to, quote unquote, win ball games?
Right.
So
I would like, and again, Roger Goodell wants equal competitiveness, because that helps the overall brand of the league. You don't, as much as we can get conspiratorial and talk about, is it they really just want a few teams that you want 32 healthy teams, which I would argue in a broad sense is true. They have 32 healthy teams. It's not like some other sports where there's like, you have Pirates are maybe not a good example right now, but you have some absolute also-rans that are never really going to be competitive. You want every team to have a shot. NFL has one of the best opportunities for that right now. Yeah. So they're going to want the Packers to be competitive. If that ultimately means there's some long-term ownership structural change to allow, well, would you rather that than have 4-13, or if we get to 18 games, 4-14 seasons every year? No, of course, you want them to be able to win. So some way it will work out. Like this is not leading to what actually would be the bad thing, which would be the London Packers. Right. No, okay, the Green Bay Packers are going to be the Green Bay Packers for, I think, for all of anyone listening right now. It's always going to be the Green Bay Packers. Other stuff could change. They will still be the Green Bay Packers. And then I guess the question is, how much do you pay attention to a lot of that stuff? I've been thinking about that a fair amount of like, am I hearing too much about inner stuff that it's relevant, but does it really matter to myself, to my sports fandom?
I think it's just, again, it's probably the social media age, and everything that's talked about is thrown out there.
Yeah. If you don't pay attention to that, then I think it's healthier, probably. Just focus on the wins and losses. Focus on the games.
Right.
Difficult to do. I get that. For all of us, it's easy to say that. For myself, even too. But yeah, like, are you ultimately a Packers fan? In my case, am I ultimately a Vikings fan? Are you a fan of your favorite team? Okay. If the other stuff is stressing you out, then one of two things: either de-emphasize the importance of it. That's okay. I mean, again, it's sports, it's entertainment. You can do that. That's fine. Or put on the blinders a little bit more. Just pay attention during the season, like how people were in older years. Just focus on the wins and losses, and just do that and don't worry about the financials because it was different in the 80s. It was different in the 90s. It was different in the aughts. It was different in the teens. And it will be different in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s.
I'm not going to get political on this whole thing, but policy did mention about, potential stadium upgrades and, updates and all that. We'll be curious to see if it's as hard as it was for Bob Harlan.
Yeah.
Back when we've talked about that, 20-some years ago.
Yeah. At what point does it become a state issue?
Right. And the thing is, too, with that emergency fund, like they noted, it's like up to $700 million, which you or I or a lot of us can't comprehend, $700 million. But as it noted, that takes 31 other teams probably a few months.
Right.
Whereas this took 30 years to get it to $700 million.
And that's where you wonder, is there some way to alter the structure where they can do that? It doesn't seem particularly fair that other teams can be like, sure, we'll sell off 10% to a private equity fund or something like that. And the Packers cannot do that. That's where I wonder if at some point there's something addressed. Maybe it does force the ownership to become like everyone else. Or maybe there is some loophole that allows that to happen for the sake of competitiveness. I would think anything would ultimately get passed, being that it is the Packers, regardless of who is the governor, regardless of who controls the assembly or the state senate. I think that gets passed more because it's the Packers. Not that everyone there is necessarily a hardcore Packers fan, though I think almost everyone would like them. I'm not sure how many. I'd be curious how many non-Packers fans serve in the legislature right now. Because I've always thought, if I ever ran, I could never run for office here in Wisconsin. You realize how fast the Vikings ads would show up? And it seems like insignificant, but that's like the ultimate, are you from here? Well, I mean, anyone who knows me, yeah, sure. But if you don't, you're an outsider. Bam, just like that. But I would think they would pass that as part of something else if it ever came to the point of asking for state help, not just Brown County help. But if Bob Harlan struggled with that, how would that go nowadays? I really don't know. Does it go better? Does it go worse? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
It'll be a fascinating watch whenever it does happen. Is the NFL bigger now? So you'd be like, sure, let's get on board. Is the whole anti-billionaire thing, does that seep out more of no, we're not going to help you guys. You make too much money anyway? I don't know. Really don't know.
A couple of quick notes here from Goody's presser before we take another break. He said he expects and hopes a Tucker Kraft extension will be done before the season begins. So don't freak out about that either, Packers fans. And he just said about Josh Jacobs that nothing has changed and he will be out on the field today.
Okay.
So, all right, let's take a quick break. Back with more after these quick words. I want to talk a little more baseball here as I got spam calling me on my cell phone right now. So,
is it potential spam or probable spam?
honestly, I think it might be to confirm my dentist appointment next week.
So maybe not actual spam. This is
it might be one of those things. Hey, we have an opening. Can you come in now? No, I can't. So
sorry. I'm on the radio.
But anyways, missed it earlier this morning. Sad news. Ahman Green has Parkinson's disease. He talked about it on the Go Long podcast with Tyler Dunn, who used to cover the Packers for the Journal Sentinel. But yeah, announcing he's got Parkinson's disease. 49 years old. So that's awful. I mean, Brett Favre announced it. Was that over a year ago now, or somewhere around there? And now you got Ahman Green. Jeez.
Yeah. It's just Brett Favre's age again. He is 56, turns 57 in October. I mean, it's almost certainly football related. We don't want to say for sure unless that there's some way you can make a direct connection. Always, that's the caveat. We don't know for sure. But you can kind of make a connection here. Why is something involving head and neck, nervous systems happening at an earlier age than it happens for just about anyone who doesn't do something that involves banging your head? Between this, Chris Johnson's news, and was it Devney, or what was the name of the guy from the Patriots who committed suicide, and they said like there was almost certainly CTE, but
You're not talking Junior Seau.
No. The guy that just did last week. I'm blanking on his name because it wasn't familiar, not to me because it didn't follow the Patriots that closely, but suspected that he had CTE. But I mean, if you didn't read the story, they said the way that he committed suicide was in a way that they can't test it. I'm not quite sure what that means. That doesn't sound good. But on the other hand, at least they said, by all accounts, he did.
Right.
So there you go. All these 30-somethings, 40-somethings, 50-somethings with having things that usually happen 50, 60, 70, 80-somethings. Factor that in when considering playing football. That's just factor that's not to say then, and therefore don't. Well, it's like a lot of football players say. Like, they calculate the risk to that. It can happen. They love to play the game too. So it's like to say it's a free country. You can do what you want to do.
Maybe this doesn't seem great about Luke Musgrave from Brian Gutekunst. So Musgrave was placed on the PUP list on Monday, and apparently he's dealing with a neck injury. I said, quote, "We're working through it to see if it's going to be something long-term or not." Said, "We'll take our time and make sure we know what we know before we put him at any kind of risk." So perhaps maybe looking at some available veteran tight ends.
Yep.
I would imagine.
Remember the Musgrave Kraft? Dual tight ends. Here we go. Well, again, you don't know when you start what are their careers going to be like, and who's going to get injured and what. It happens.
For what it's worth, too, for all of you preseason haters, Goody said he'd like to have the starters get a few series during the preseason, but he said that depends on their ability to, one, protect Jordan Love, and it's up to Matt LaFleur. So, but,
right.
So you got your GM saying they need to play in the preseason.
Okay, well, I think we'll see a little bit of that, and then there'll be a lot of backups. That's okay. That's why the preseason exists. That's why we shouldn't care too much about the preseason, because it is the preseason. This is evaluation time. Just happens to be in packed stadiums with very expensive tickets that are on TV. That's the difference. Otherwise, it doesn't count. Wait till week 1. Let the teams evaluate.
So, okay, this is dumb. Apparently, the NCAA has suspended Tennessee linebacker Arian Carter 2 games after accepting a $427 flight to an NFL pre-draft training facility. What are we doing here? There's another Wednesday. What are we doing here?
It's like a throwback.
That's what somebody said. Is this a 1996 news story? Like, what are we doing here? Really? We're still doing this?
Yeah, the reactions, it's very few reactions I'm seeing are like, more laughter than anything. Like,
I mean, for crying out loud. So if this would have been, okay, he has an endorsement NIL from that flight company, it wouldn't have been an issue then?
I guess. So was this like auto churned out? Like there wasn't even a person behind this. This was just like filed a certain way and like it got flagged automatically as a violation?
I don't know.
I would think there's bigger stuff going on right now that is probably in violation NIL-wise, the whole clearinghouse thing, et cetera, like that would be the bigger focus versus $427.48 in an airplane ticket. I mean, yeah, we're at least in hundreds of dollars. We're not talking like, oh, you bought someone a fast food dinner. You're ineligible. That's okay, cool.
So apparently, according to Knox News, he repaid his agent for the flight cost and withdrew from the draft, but that didn't satisfy the NCAA. If you are going to allow these players to have agents in the first place, and the guy repays it, this is ridiculous.
This does not help the NCAA's
No, it
reputation.
doesn't. They found that he committed a level 3 violation, a general term that the NCAA rulebook calls a basic breach of conduct. Level 3 violations are common and routinely reported by athletic departments at every school. They often result in minor penalties, but Carter's multi-game suspension is among the harshest in that level of infraction.
Laying down the law. Okay.
Especially when he's like whether he's deciding that he's going to declare for the draft or not. On December 12th, he announced that he had declared for the draft. He hired an agent who paid for his flight so he could travel to the site of a pre-draft training facility. He began his workouts on January 5th, but he immediately felt pain and swelling in his previously injured foot, blah, blah, blah. So on January 16th, he withdrew from the draft so he could return to Tennessee. And on the 19th, he terminated his contract with his sports agent. But what are we? What? Oh, my God. This is so ridiculous.
That'll send a message.
That is so ridiculous.
Don't even try it.
Oh, my God. Oh. Well,
There's other players probably getting hush-hush multi-million-dollar deals that are shady in terms of their legality. But this guy...
Yeah. Ridiculous.
I want to sympathize with the NCAA in terms of trying to have structure to all of this, gestures wildly. Mm-hmm. And then they do stuff like that. And I almost want to, I'm really trying to believe that this was almost a computer-generated thing. Like, who was actually sitting there going, no, we got this. If I would actually understand it more if it were computer generated. Like, oh, whoops,
Yeah.
We didn't really want that to happen. Sorry, but I'm probably not.
Yeah, this is not a great look at all. No, yuck. Wow. Okay. On that note, let's take a quick break. I know you got to get going here, so.
Got to talk to somebody pretty soon.
Yeah.
Interview.
Music interview. Really, last thought from you for a quick sec. Because I did want to talk a little baseball, but
still can because I got a little bit of time.
Okay,
here.
so have you noticed the ads by Major League Baseball playing "We Need a Salary Cap"? Have you noticed that on TV?
I have not seen that, but I've heard about that. Yes,
it's funny. I love it.
Okay,
I love it. I love it because it's so childish.
It's
such.
Again. Who
do you really think
this?
that's going to change players' minds? They're trying to get fans against the players.
Surely an ad for MLB salary cap commercial. Level the playing field.
Yeah.
I've not seen the ads, so I'm not going to bring up audio here. I'm trying to find. Is this on YouTube?
It might be. It might be, yeah.
No, I'm just.
And I know the players apparently have one too. I haven't seen the players one. I've seen the MLB one, which plays during games, which obviously that's where you want to play.
I guess, but okay, I would think most people, most fans, has there been any polling of late you've seen about, do fans prefer a salary cap or not?
I think the majority does. I think it might actually be in that commercial. Don't quote me. But, I mean, let's be real. Pull a Dodgers fan. Does he want a salary? Does he or she want a salary cap?
Probably not.
Probably not. Pull a Yankees fan.
Probably not. No.
So, majority, though, I would probably say yes.
Yeah. I mean, if it gets the cheesy response, the response of that's cheesy, I don't know. Should we really be doing that then?
Yeah. I mean, okay, I get it. You're trying to sway public opinion, but is that going to sway the players? I don't think so.
Well, okay. So this goes back to one of my tropes. Does it really matter what the fans think about this?
Yeah.
The fans could be 100% salary cap. If the players don't want a salary cap, you're not getting a salary cap.
Unless they're just doing this to make themselves look good in the public of court opinion.
I guess so that
they could say, we tried, fans. We tried to do this.
I guess there are other ways to do that, though, besides commercials. I'm not going to care oh, wow, you ran some ads? Well, gee whiz, now I guess I'm on your side. I, as a baseball fan, will decide if I prefer a salary cap or not based on whatever increases the likelihood that my favorite team will win the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
If it turns out it's bad, then I'm not going to support it. If it's ultimately good, I'm generally inclined for a salary cap as the Twins are not a small market team, but they're not a big market team, and they don't have the financial resources. Brewers, the prototypical small market team. So I think I would prefer it, but I'm open to arguments, and I've seen some arguments that actually there are other approaches that would be better. Fine. I don't care about an ad to say that, all right? So I also don't think this is necessarily going to turn fans against them either.
No. It reminds me of that the football one in 2010 where it was constant as a fan, I agree with the owners. I'm on the owners. And then the next day it's like, oh, no, I'm on the players after you hear these leaks and this is what they want. Well, this is actually what they want. This is what's been. I'm like, we just want to get back to games.
That's what, you don't see people holding up banners or anything and don't follow what's on social media because it could be a bunch of bots anyway, depending on the platform. If it's a smaller platform, it doesn't really matter. If it's a larger platform, i.e. X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, it's probably going to be loaded with bots, so you can't really trust what's the sentiment below any given post anyway. So it really doesn't matter that much. It's whoever is more skilled at negotiating and whomever gets concerned about losing money. Is it going to be the union or is it going to be the owners?
Right.
And whichever one comes out on top, that's how it's going to end. End of story.
Yep. All right, we got to take a quick break, and then I'll make some picks for baseball games coming up. Are you out?
I'm out. So right. I'll just say you are right, wrong, wrong, wrong.
Perfect. Sounds good. All right, quick break, and we'll be back to wrap things up after these few words. Matt LaFleur is up at the podium right now answering questions ahead of the Packers' first training camp practice, which is scheduled to start at about 10:30. The only thing of note so far is it sounds like their first few practices, not going to be a lot of competitive stuff because, as he noted, the long injury list already to some of these players. All right, let's get to some picks as we wrap this thing up. Got a few minutes left to the top of the hour. Let's go Philadelphia, Miami. I'm going to go Philly. We got Arizona taking on the Diamondbacks. Let's go with, Arizona taking on Diamondbacks. Arizona taking on Pittsburgh. I'm going to go Pittsburgh. Toronto, Washington. I'll go with the Blue Jays. Braves, Mets, game 1 of their doubleheader. Scooble. I'm getting sidetracked here because Atlanta versus the Mets. My apologies. I'm going to go with Atlanta for game 1 of their doubleheader. Game 2, Chris Sale. I'm going to go Atlanta. Chris Sale wins the doubleheader. Baltimore, Detroit. Big one here. Is this going to be the last time we see Scooble in a Tigers uniform? I'm going to go Detroit picks up the win. Colorado versus the Padres. Give me the Padres. Texas versus Tampa. Give me the Rays. Cleveland versus Cincinnati. I'll go Cleveland. Kansas City versus the Twins. Joe Ryan. I'm going to go Twins. Yankees, White Sox. Cam's on the mound, Yankees. Cubs, Cardinals. I'll go Cardinals today. Houston versus the Angels. Give me Houston. Boston versus the A's. Give me Boston. Seattle, Dodgers. I'll go Dodgers. And then finally, this is a tough one. Brewers, Giants. Logan Webb's on the mound. Is the Brewers offense going to give him some support? I'll say yes. Brewers win. Hey, first rider to training camp on the bike, Tucker Kraft. Tucker Kraft's the first one on the bike. He's not suited up to practice, obviously, but he's riding a bike down there. So, Matt LaFleur saying he's learned to, quote, temper expectations with rookie kickers and have patience through their ups and downs. After having Anders Carlson and Braden Narvis, and Packers are now relying on rookie kicker Trey Smack. That's from Matt Schneidman. So Luke Musgrave, apparently, by the way, suffered this neck injury at minicamp. LaFleur saying it is what it is. Those are the circumstances. All you can control is how you respond. It's going to be opportunities for these other guys to show what they can do and how they can contribute. Doesn't really give a good vote of confidence. Who, really quick, free agent tight ends? Who's still out there? I want available. Here we go. Okay, Jonas Smith, Zach Ertz, Darren Waller, excuse me. Hey, John Fitzpatrick is still out there. Mercedes Lewis. Josiah DeGuara. I got a few former Packers on this list if that's the route they want to go. If this ends up being a very serious neck injury for Luke Musgrave, Green Bay's got to go out there and get another tight end. They have to. So, all right, that's going to do it for us because shot clock is going to cut me off. I'm going to continue to follow along with this press conference from LaFleur and see if there's anything else of substance. Probably not a whole lot, but yeah. All right, tomorrow, Thursday, 3 up, 3 down. Participate. What's your 3 ups? What's your 3 downs? What are 3 things that are rising? Stock reports, 3 things that are going down. Can already maybe have a little bit of a Green Bay injury. 1 for things going down. Gave you your free 1 right there. Also, Jake Boakes will join us. So get your outdoor-related questions, hunting, fishing, all that. You can text them on over right now so I can get those to Jake ASAP. Have a good rest of your Wednesday. Same place, same time tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., TDS Sports Talk Studios. Talk to you then.